absolutely amazing. Hello and welcome to the 2020 FIA Gran Turismo Championships. We're back in action once again for another round of the top 16 superstars. It's the start of stage 3 of the online season as well. My name's Tom Brooks. Alongside me, the Lord of Sheddington himself, Jimmy Broadbent. Jimmy, I mean, first of all, before we get into any racing, what on earth is going on with that Barnet, mate?
Well, the problem is the Sheddington estate doesn't allow haircuts. So that's where I am right now. So, in fact, mate, you keep throwing me under the bus with this haircut. I understand it's not ideal.
Every week it gets worse.
Well, it's only going to get worse.
Goodness me. Well, we've got some exciting racing action to come here for you tonight as well in the Nations Cup and in the Manufacturers Series also. In terms of the Nations Cup, we'll bring that up on screen behind you now. You can see the Autodrome Lago Maggiore East 2 layout, one of the shorter layouts of the Maggiore circuit in Group 4 cars.
And East 2 means reverse, by the way, in case you're wondering, which I had to look up a bit earlier on. Then for Manufacturers Series a bit later on, we have the Blue Moon Bay Speedway, a roval. That's a roval.
A roval. You've loved saying that in rehearsals and even now fantastic. In the show.
So basically, half oval, half road course in Group 3 cars. So a bit of a mix today.
So Nations Cup in particular has been really exciting as of late. Some aggressive driving that we've seen though, haven't we, over the last few rounds?
Aggressive is kind, really, says that. And based on that, we actually have a couple of highlights from last time out. You can judge some of the aggressive driving for yourself.
Lights out and we're racing then. Great start from Baptiste Beauvoir. Good start also from Yasete off the front row of the grid. Keep an eye out as well for the third place man of Malky. He gets away very nicely from that second row and is challenging for third place. But look as well as Yasete tries to get the long way around the outside of Baptiste Beauvoir. Hard on the brakes into turn 2. The Spaniard's up the inside. Can he take the lead away from the Frenchman? Gallo holds on the charge of Beauvoir. Runs it a bit deep though. Doesn't allow the opportunity on the exit for Beauvoir. It certainly does.
Rick Kevlar drafting 205 mile an hour. I saw for a second go on Gallo's clock. Kevlar goes up the inside, but he goes in deep, blocks Gallo on exit there. 210 mile an hour, pulls out to the right hand side of the circuit, drives by nice and easy, and Baptiste Beauvoir goes up into the lead of the race.
Kevlar tries to defend, but he's going to be powerless to do so against Coque Lopez. Side by side they come. Lopez on the inside, Kevlar on the outside. Who's going to break later? It's certainly going to be Lopez. The Spaniard Yasete comes over the line to take the win in round 20 of the Nations Cup for the top 16 superstars. I think we can all agree some really exciting action then in the top 16 superstars last time. F1500 cars, the Formula cars from the 1980s that they're based on. I mean, they were just unbelievable, weren't they?
I feel like we're quite harsh here at GG because one week we throw F1 cars at our guys and then we throw Group 4 cars now, mate. Exactly the same, right?
I'm waiting for a return to the Fiat 500 to come out as well.
No.
Around the Nordschleife, 50-lap endurance or something.
No.
Goodness me. Stage 2, of course, has just ended. That was the last round of Stage 2. You can see on your screen the winners from our 5 regions of the online season. In Asia, it was Takuma Miyazono, who's been interlocked in a battle with Ryota Kokuben all season long. If we look to Central and South America, Angel Inestrosa, of course, helped Porsche win the World Tour event in Tokyo last year on his first attempt as well. If we keep an eye out as well, in Oceania, Cody Nikola Lukovsky down there as well. He has taken the spoils in his region. Andrew Brooks for North America. It's really interesting to see, actually. In terms of Angel Inestrosa there, Jimmy, of course, he's taken over the baton, really, from Igor Fraga, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think, fair to say, of course, he's been doing really well. In his own right, to be anywhere near the top of the points is fantastic, let alone at the top. But, yeah, I mean, definitely a bit of a gap left by Fraga. He's, of course, out in the F3 Championship right now. We wish him all the best of luck here at GT. But, of course, Baptiste Beauvoir in the middle there for our EMEA region. Just completely dominant, really, over the last couple of weeks. And luckily for me, as someone who's a complete amateur to one of the circuits we're driving today, Lago Maggiore, I got to catch up with Baptiste Beauvoir a bit earlier on for a few pointers. So the goal of today is to have you try and help me get a bit faster around here. I've done my 1 lap time there on the left, a 1:28, which is a bit slow.
Yeah, 28 it's a bit slow. You can do better, of course.
He has said to me earlier on that if I do very well and get a good lap time, I get a reward.
If Jimmy do very well, he's going to win this baguette.
I love that you just have one next to you at all times. So what do I do here? I can do this bit fine. I can go in a straight line. That bit is easy.
Just take more risk, Jimmy. You can do it.
Take more risk. Okay, I can try that. So we'll give it a shot. Oh, I feel so slow. Come on, Jimmy. Right, okay.
He's a second for the rotation.
And third gear.
Third.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Not bad. It's better than the lap before. Okay, just cut the corner. Cut the corner.
Like that?
Like this. Perfect. Yeah.
I feel dirty doing that.
And also you can cut this too. This one too. Okay, is the first gear for the rotation here. Oh, come on, Jimmy, you missed the apex! No!
I'm trying my best, man, alright? This is a difficult situation.
Break here. Is the third. Oh, you missed the apex. Yeah.
Apexes are optional, man. Okay, carrying more speed there. I can feel I'm going quicker.
Don't miss the apex.
Oh, sorry.
You missed again. You missed again. So last chance for get a 25. Let's go.
Where can I gain time? Where am I losing the time?
Everything, everywhere.
Oh, man.
Stay focused, stay focused. 4. Oh. Yeah, that's not bad.
It's okay.
Okay, here, don't make the same mistake. Third gear. Turn. Let's go. Okay.
Come on. Oh, we're half a second up. That would be enough.
Stay in third gear. Clear the corner.
Is that third gear? No, I've gone wide.
Yes.
It's okay. If I get this corner, I haven't got this right yet. I'll be okay.
This time, please don't miss apex. Okay, it's better. Second gear. Third gear.
Third gear?
Oh no!
No, come on!
It was a 20.
Come on!
It was a 25. Oh, you got it, baby?
Let's do a 25!
Wow. Yes, you got
Just
you got
got
it,
the
you got it.
25 there. I mean, the most important question, though, is do I get the baguette?
You did 25 with a big last mistake. You, of course, you only save a baguette. Congrats, Jimmy.
There you go!
Congrats.
I can now sleep easy tonight. Baptiste, thank you so much for joining us, mate. Great to have you. And best of luck later on. I hope you do better than I did.
I think that has to be the best line ever that I've heard in a video with Jimmy Broadbent. Where do I need to improve? The response from Baptiste Beauvoir, everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, it was fair, really, wasn't it? It didn't do too well. It's so ludicrous seeing a difference between someone who, I think I'm okay at Sims, I'm average, I'd say, and someone who is just the best of the best, 3 seconds faster he was than me, a lap at the moment. So, mad, crazy.
Give it 3, maybe 4 years even, and you might get within a second of him.
Yeah, that's worth my time. I think that's definitely worth my time.
Goodness me. Well, of course, the Nations Cup race is coming up for you very shortly indeed. But I'm delighted to say that we're now joined by Adam Saswillow, who is competing in the Nations Cup races here in the EMEA region. Hello, Adam. How are you doing, mate? Good to hear from you.
Hi Tom, I'm good mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. How's everything been? It's been a while, really. I think since we were last chatting. Have you what have you been up to since the last time we saw each other?
I've had a haircut. That's good. Yeah, I just got back into the game recently and loving it. So looking forward to the race in a bit.
You're out on track practicing at the moment for the Nations Cup race. How are you feeling out there? You're pretty nervous. Are you all right about it?
I'm all right. I'm not expecting a big result, to be honest. These guys on track are a bit quicker than me right now in practice. So I think if I can just stick with the guys up front, I'll be happy with that. So we'll see how it goes.
Optimistic. That's the spirit, Adam, mate. No, you got to get in there. T1 send, get it done straight away. Easy.
Yeah, I'd love 460 points, I think it is. But I think anything close to that will be good for me.
Good stuff, mate. How have you prepared for qualifying, just very quickly as well?
It's finding a way to conserve the tyres while trying to warm them up. I think that's the biggest challenge because sometimes you go into turn 1 and you might have really good tyres, but they're cold as anything. So it's trying to find that balance.
Good stuff, mate. I reckon that haircut probably gives you about half a second or so on this lap, so you should be in for a good top 5 qualifying, I reckon.
Oh, nice, mate. Yeah, might put a bet on it then. Cheers, mate.
Good stuff, Adam. Great to hear from you. Now, of course, qualifying is coming up for these drivers very, very shortly indeed. And the man they're all looking to in reference for the practice is the man who won Stage 2, the man we've been speaking about so much in the Nations Cup, Baptiste Beauvoir. Let's take a look at his fastest lap in practice.
So straight into our lap then, and you're about to see a lap that was far, far better than mine. First corner, uphill left-hand means you can brake nice and late. So heavy on the anchors, use that uphill to slow you down a bit faster. Now here's a tough bit though, front-wheel drive. The car wants to push out and throttle towards the wall. If you're being a little bit too enthusiastic on the loud pedal, you might actually end up driving into it, which again, I've done a few times.
It's not the ideal line through there. Now this is where you have to be brave and committed. Down through this left-hander, you can see the circuit, blind corners, over to the left-hand side, use all of the road, and then just hook it in, hope that it grips. Take the curve on the inside, flick it left. The amount of steering lock and the amount of speed and commitment going through here is just unrivaled. Come over the brow of the hill, riding the curve and a bit of grass there on the outside. Then you flick it left. Now this is quite tricky because you've got to go hard on the anchors and there's a lot of load going through those front tyres.
It's so blind on the way in too. Getting that line wrong through there, you just end up either far in the wall or just not using all the circuit and losing a lot of time. Now we go up towards another big braking zone. Look to the right-hander for your braking markers and look how much of the curve we use on the inside here. Baptiste is telling me to get all over this in practice, and now it's all about setting up the last part of the lap.
Yeah, you can see him now riding through this right-hander, then using a lot of curve again, all of the road, flick it back over to the right-hand side of the track for this next left-hander. A lot of steering lock going through there, so you just have to be careful through there. Get on it too early, and you'll compromise your run onto this start-finish straight, which completes a lap of the Lago Maggiore East 2 layout. Well, that's how to do a fast lap around the Lago Maggiore circuit. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the race details, which are on your screen at the moment. Group 4 cars, as we know, racing hard on medium tyres over 23 laps, though. Strategy. I know, I can't believe it. It's going to be like, what do you do with strategy there?
No idea. I mean, to be honest, like racing hard medium tyres, you could try the one-stop around here, but I would not suggest it, especially if you're in that Audi.
Yeah, exactly right there. So there we are. That is how it sits for the race. Let's go to the grid as they're all lining up. So the drivers are lining up then ahead of the Nations Cup EMEA Region race at the Lago Maggiore East 2 circuit. Pole position, Valerio Gallo. A brilliant lap from him midway through the session. Didn't even need to set a final flyer in the dying seconds. Baptiste Beauvoir battling, of course, for the championship in second position. Giorgio Mangano, the second of the Italian drivers, heads the second row of the grid with Manuel Rodriguez, the Spaniard, alongside him. Third row, that's headed by Marcus Connonen, the Finnish driver. Will he be flying here today? Alongside him, Christopher Mauki, the McLaren 650S, one of the only non-Audis in the field. Adam Saswillow with a BTCC replica livery on his car lines up in P7. We caught up with him just a couple of moments ago with Adam Sapai, the Hungarian, in 8th place. Final row of the grid in just side the top 10 is Rick Kevlar, who lines up in 9th position. See, just 0.4 of a second back of the fastest time. Marcin Swiderek, the Polish driver, in P10. P11 is Jones, the second of the Britons on the grid, in 12th place with Carlos Salazar, the Portuguese driver there. 13th position is Carbonell, the Spaniard, or Carbonell I should say, in the Spanish tongue, with Kravchenko in the Ferrari 458. Bold call there, not a good qualifying, maybe he can move forward in the race. Kurachif in 15th position, the Italian driver. And in P16 in the Porsche Cayman GT4 is Aerts, the Belgian driver here. So, we're about to get a first look here, Jimmy, at the tyre compounds, and unsurprisingly, a lot of the top 10 runners starting on the mediums.
Yep, well, that's the way to go, I think, at the moment. Start on the medium compound of tyre and then just kind of try and put away from the rest of the field. Though we do know around here the hard compound isn't actually that bad compared to the medium, especially if you're with a pack of cars. Slipstreaming is kind of the name of the game around here. There is also fuel strategy to consider too. So if you are sitting behind someone in the draft, saving a bit of fuel, it means when you do have to make your fuel stop, it's going to be a lot shorter than everybody else. It's going to just propel you up the field.
So then, Valerio Gallo, the first of 3 Italians in the field actually here at the Lago Maggiore circuit, a fictional track based in Italy. Will it be lucky for those drivers here today? We're about to find out. He will lead the field over the timing line. 23 laps to remind you here at this circuit for the Nations Cup race. It's the start of stage 3 of the online season for the EMEA region of the top 16 superstars on the FIA Gran Turismo Championship as we go racing here for the Nations Cup. Gallo leads the field over the line with Baptiste Beauvoir in the second position as they come up the hill in towards the first corner. All the drivers into the slipstream as they try to get the advantage on their competitors. Bit of weaving there in the background. See a few drivers trying to get a bit of heat into their tyres, but everybody taking it very sensibly through those first couple of corners, and unsurprisingly so there as well. You don't want to be writing your race off at the first corner, but Gallo there doing a really good job, not outbraking himself, holding onto that lead, getting some heat into his tyres. Now the crucial question is Baptiste Beauvoir going to be able to close up? Is Gallo in turn going to be able to pull away if not?
Yeah, these first few laps are really just about feeling out the cars around you and seeing where you sort of fit in that train. I'm really interested to see what Malky can do in 6th place. He's in that McLaren, the highest non-Audi in the field, and I'm wondering how that car is going to compare to the Audi over the course of the race, given that we know how bad this front-wheel drive car is on its tyres. Coming now to the second half of the first lap, Valerio Gallo leads, Beauvoir second, pulling away a little bit now as we come into the last sector. Again, see how much these guys cut this inside curb here, all over it. Baptiste Beauvoir a lot more than Valerio Gallo as well, and this part of the circuit is all about just setting up the last part of the lap. Now we go on board with Adam Saswillow. Interestingly, Tom, he's gaining on Malky on that hard compounder tyre.
I wonder what his strategy is going to be here, because of course you only have to run the hard tyre here for a minimum of 1 lap. Will he try and come into the end of the pit lane and then just run on the medium tyres and make a 3-stop strategy at the end of this race? He does indeed do exactly that, so off the hard tyre as soon as he possibly can there for Adam Saswillow. I wonder whether Swiderick does follow through. Is Aerts going to follow through there as well in 6th position? No, he carries on, so he's opting for a different strategy there, but Saswillow coming in predictably then. That'll be at least a 2-stop strategy in this one as he goes onto the medium tyres and will probably run that compound until the end of this race.
Yeah, it has to be. He'll probably come in midway for the race now, about lap 13 or so from now, and then just switch on to another set for the end. The mediums won't run that long. You have to make sure you're keeping the front tyres alive in this car, otherwise this one just becomes useless. We're on board now, Giorgio Mangano. Great camera angle here, just in the bumper cam on the front of the Audi, coming now down the hill. You can see the elevation change down here, and that makes braking downhill even harder. That front right tyre having to do even more work than it already is. Of course, the front wheel drive car, those front tyres best and get battered. But we're going up the hill now. In the draft of Baptiste Beauvoir is Giorgio Mangano. Not quite close enough for a go into the left-hander here, but probably just thinking about it. These first few laps, as I said before, just about watching the competition, seeing where they're strong, seeing where they're weak, and then acting accordingly. Always good to take your time as a racing driver, although that doesn't always seem apparent when you're in the driving seat.
So coming through then into the left-hander, all of these drivers very close to one another, and great respect between these competitors here as well. It's fantastic to see, I've got to say, them all being able to drive so close to one another. Manuel Rodriguez, this is a great race from him here so far, qualified very well, sitting in 4th position where he qualified, and this is one of the better performances we've seen in Manuel Rodriguez. We've had him at World Tour events in years gone by, Jimmy, and he's always been there and thereabouts, but never really shone on the world stage. But here in these top 16 superstars, he looks pretty comfortable behind the wheel of those front-wheel drive cars. Easily one of the best performances that we've seen from the Spaniard.
Yeah, he's just comfy at the moment. This is a good time in the race to be comfy. You know, we're still very early on in the race, and as I said before, having the draft is sort of part of the battle round here. Interestingly, of course, Gallo, who's going to be heading this field probably for a while, at least until the first pit stop, I think, is probably going to end up having a lot less fuel than the rest of these guys around them.
Let's see what's going to happen then. So flicking it through into the left-hander. And then Valerio Gallo still continues leading the way. You can see just at the top of your screen there on the right-hand side that, of course, we've got times 5 tyre wear times 8 on, times 8 tyre wear times 5 on the fuel multiplier. So fuel consumption is going to be a concern at the end of this race. Let's see what's going to happen with these drivers and see whether that does indeed change. Just a bit further down the order, Swiderick gets the head of Shurif, the Italian. Apologies, by the way, if I'm butchering that pronunciation. My Italian is nowhere near as good as my English, and to be honest with you, after 23 years, I'm still struggling with my English. Here is Gallo then, over the timing line to start his 4th lap. Still continues to hold on to the race lead. These drivers have been careful here, Jimmy, at the moment, just being sensible more than anything. And that's kind of what they have to do, really, is just bide their time, I think, and not get themselves involved in any strife.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at this point, you make an error here, you get a penalty, you're going to end up very far down the field just because of how close everybody is at the moment. Baptiste Beauvoir, I think, as you said, just biding his time, just saving a little bit of fuel around here. That's the great part about being the draft partner, is that you get the boost on the straight, and in these cars, the GT4s, they aren't that much dirty air in the corners. You see Gallo and Beauvoir having quite different lines there through the midsection. just because I think that's just how they've been doing it. That's how Baptiste was teaching me earlier, but they seem equally as quick, which is really interesting to see different lines working for different people.
Just having a look at the fastest lap times on the timing screen at the moment. Last time around, the man who was quickest on the circuit was the guy in 4th position of Manuel Rodriguez. The guy who's been quickest overall on the second lap was Rick Kevlar, though, the Dutch driver who is in 7th position, so maybe not shot in qualifying, and he's just getting mugged over there by Adam Tapai as well in 7th place. So Kevlar and Tapai going side by side through the right-hander. They're going to flick it left though, and Tapai's going to have the inside line and in theory track position. Will he be able to hold off Kevlar's charge? He is indeed able to do so and gets through into 7th place there. So great respect between those drivers, able to go side by side for such a long time. But Tapai is the man who is on the charge and is now through into 7th.
Easy position made. Rick Kevlar maybe burning those tyres early. Very easy to do that, especially if you're just jamming the throttle coming out the corners here. Great on-board shot here. You can hear the Audis just struggling for traction out of there. The great talent of driving this car is just throttle modulation. It isn't just like when you're pressing a button, having the throttle on or off. It's about progressively applying the throttle to make sure you negate any sort of traction loss. If you lose traction in this car, it's like a Civic with 800 horsepower. It's like ba 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 forever, and you just don't move. These Audis, not quite 800 horsepower, luckily for these guys, although they just would not be turning. But the same logic still applies. Be careful on that throttle, and those who are a bit smoother on the throttle are going to have better tyre life as well.
A Civic with 800 horsepower, is that going to be your next Nordschleife special?
Yeah, probably. Watch this space.
Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to that. So Kevlar then in 8th position, as we see at the moment. Bit of a gap there back to Carbonell, who is in 9th place as things stand. So you can see the drivers at the moment who have been leading the way. Gallo, Beauvoir, Mangano, Rodriguez, and then Connaughton kind of sort of in the picture of these top 4, but a little bit further back. The top 4 very, very close on pace as they come over the timing line once again. So let's see what's going to happen in the mid-stage of this one, see what's going to happen with the strategy there crucially as well. And whether any drivers are going to opt to do anything different. We have seen it in other regions, some drivers mixing up the strategy, going to the hard tyre in the mid stages and then running the mediums towards the end. Because they've only done the one stop as well, they've been able to make it stick a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean that's the way you got to do it. Really, just try. If you're maybe stuck in the queue, so to speak, it doesn't hurt to try something a little bit different. If you don't think you can pass on track. I mean, these guys at the front here, Gallo, Beauvoir, Mangano, Rodriguez starting to fall off the back of this first 3 a little bit. Not by a lot, but a little bit. But they're just running around now. I mean, they aren't racing, if that makes sense. They're just driving around in procession and just waiting until the pit stops happen. Because at this point, there's not really much point in having a really hard race.
No, exactly that. It's just kind of a case of being careful, really. Sad to say, Adam Saswillow is down in 10th position. Of course, he has made that one stop, though, so he is one of the better drivers in terms of track position at the moment because he has made that stop and he's got a bit of clear air in front of him. 1.5 seconds to Carbonell in 9th place. So, despite being a little bit further down the order than he may like, it might come to benefit him in the closing stages of this race, being on a different strategy to everybody else. And the crucial thing about when you come into the pit lane after you've made that stop is you just want clear air, really. You don't really want to be battling amongst other drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's ideal, but the thing is, round here it's a bit different. You actually want to draft. If you, it's the best way to do things around here. So maybe thinking about running past Carbonell, maybe he'll just be chilling there. 1.2 seconds off right now, I'm not quite there, but we'll go back to this battle at the front here. That is the gap. That's between 1st and 6th place. Interestingly, the one I'm interested in more is someone you can't see right now, is Malky, who's just in the background there, the white McLaren just at the back of your picture, and just seeing what he does, because we've seen a couple of his races before. We've seen a field full of Audis. What we've not seen is someone running high up in a car that isn't an Audi, in which case here, the Macca.
Which of course is rear-wheel drive, which, as you said earlier on, Jimmy, should be a little bit better on its tyres, a bit kinder, because of course it's not trying to do the steering, the braking and the acceleration. It's just trying to do the steering and the braking. So it's a little bit easier there in terms of the tyre wear. So let's see whether that comes to benefit Christopher Malky. At the moment he's doing a good job behind his fellow Scandinavian of Marcus Connaughton, who's there in 5th position, and good to see Marcus Connaughton fighting inside the top 5 there as well. Again, a name that will be familiar to you if you've joined us before in our World Tour events and such like as well.
Colin goes defensive. Tom has to go defensive on the inside. Sorry to cut over you there, mate, but Malky had a little bit of a look around the outside. Colin very firm and said, no, I'm going to shut the door on that one. But you're seeing the differing lines coming out of there as Colin then dives to the pit lane. He's going for a set of mediums. Also Baptiste Beauvoir in as well. So some of our leaders coming into the pits.
Yeah, Beauvoir going into the hard tyre, as is Kevlar. Colin and Tapai going onto the medium tyres, and they'll change onto the hards presumably 1 lap before the end. That's the minimum tyre time. You have to run it for at least 1 lap in this race. Now, where are these guys going to emerge? That's a crucial question, because I saw a train full of cars coming through there. Beauvoir is fortunate. He's got that clear air in front of him. As Jimmy said, there can be a bit of a disadvantage around here because you do want a bit of a slipstream, but he's ahead of Colin there. But I do wonder about the likes of Tapai, because he's right behind Kravchenko, Saswillow there as well, and that could potentially cost him here. It could be an advantage, as you said, with that slipstream, but it could potentially cost him being stuck behind them, especially on this outlap.
Yeah, I think you're right there. And it's what we've seen and what we've heard is that these medium tyres will do about 8 laps, I think, maximum, before they start really falling off. So that's what we sort of expect to see in terms of pit strategy. So that will mean a 3-stop for the majority of the guys out there. Maybe a 2-stop if you're feeling adventurous. Here is Adam Saswillow making his way back up the field. He is the 3rd driver running on the track right now who has made a stop. You can see in the column there on the left-hand side of your screen, the 1 there indicating how many stops have been made. Still up behind Carbonell. Let's see if he can make a move here. And the thing is, it's pretty tricky to just chuck one up the inside here, because the line is to be nice and tight. Carbonell getting a little bit wrong on exit, and in come the rest of our leaders. Gallo in, Rodriguez in, Mangano in, Beauvoir in again to get rid of that hard compounder tyre. So he's pitted 2 times now. Everyone else has pitted once. Let's see how that shakes up the order.
Lovely looking livery on that car of Adam Saswillow. I know I've said it before, but I just absolutely adore the BTCC replica livery. He's very close though, coming out of the pit lane here behind Carbonell as well here. They come through into the first corner. Is Saswillow going to go up the inside? He is. Carbonell runs it a bit deep through there. Oh, and a penalty. There was contact there by the looks of things. Saswillow with a 3-second penalty. Oh dear, that is going to cost him very dearly in this race, and he's going to drop right to the back of that pack, at least as a minimum.
I think what happened there is Adam maybe following Carbonell a bit too close, coming out of the pits there, and of course then getting things wrong. Oh, I thought Colin was going off then, he nearly did, as Rodriguez fires one up the inside. I thought Colin was going to go off the circuit. He just gathered that back up again. It's easy to do that there. You're going downhill as well, so sometimes you kind of forget that gravity is working against you and your brake pedal. Yeah, so Colin now 5th, but importantly, he's now on the back of this pack. He wasn't before.
So that's interesting then. Let's see what's going to happen here for Colin. Is this going to be his comeuppance? Here comes Gallo versus Mangano then, through into the left-hander. Gallo, of course, on the hard tyre, Mangano on the medium, so Gallo's really a bit of a sitting duck here. Is Mangano, his fellow Italian, going to be able to find his way past on this start-finish straight then? Running on board here with Mangano. He's got the advantage of the slipstream, pulls to the inside as they come over the timing line then, side by side, as we head up the hill into the first corner. Mangano on the inside, brakes later, brakes deeper, and Rodriguez fancying a slice of the action. He's up the inside of Valerio Gallo into T1 as well, so 2 positions lost in the space of 2 corners as Rodriguez and Gallo go side by side on corner exit down in towards turn 2. Gallo's been absolutely mugged here. He's lost 2 positions, he's down into 4th place, and now coming under threat from Marcus Connaughton as well.
Well, you know this benefits. It benefits Malky at the front of the field, who has yet to stop. Having someone like Gallo out there at the moment on the hard tyres, slowing up the rest of the pack is a little bit of a godsend, but already Mangano has pulled in nearly half a second on the leader as Connaughton looks to the inside. You see the cornering difference, the difference in speed through there between the 2 compounds of tyres, and now Gallo luckily has a bit of a straight to kind of catch his breath a little bit and reflect on what's happened on the last lap. He still hasn't fallen back too much, but this makes me think that Gallo might be going for the 2-stop, because he's already gone round 1 lap on the hard compounder tyre. Usually it's 1 lap and done. He's going round again, so maybe going to try and do a different strategy for everybody else.
Let's see what's going to happen. Here comes Connaughton down the inside of Valerio Gallo into the left-hander. Gallo's going to try and fight it back on corner exit. They're going to flick it right though. Connaughton's got track position. He holds firm. He holds 4th. Gallo then down into P5. Is he going to come into the pit lane? Not quite here. So he's going to try and stick it out on that hard compounder tyre. Try and stick with this group. But that is going to be a very tall order indeed, given how much faster these other drivers are. And I tell you what, Malky's going to have to be careful here, because I know he's out on that medium compounder tyre here, Jimmy, but he is, well, significantly slower than the likes of Mangano and Rodriguez, who have got a bit of a clearer track in front of them. Malky last time round a 1:25.2, Mangano a 1:23.9.
I wonder if Malky's going to go for the 2-stop here. It's very possible. There's the 2 strategies that work, I think, so far, the 2 and the 3-stop. I think that Gallo's going for a 2-stop. I think Malky's definitely going to go for a 2-stop, whilst the rest are going for the 3-stop. The thing is that Macca, in the lead, the McLaren, is it doesn't wear its tyres as aggressively, so it can go with those alternate strategies. So one to keep an eye on for sure is Carbonell, performing fairly well, I think, this time, the Finnish driver. He tends to be around 8th, 9th position, the kind of middle of the pack, and he's really mixing it with the fast guys at the moment.
Yeah, just having a look at some of his race details here there, Jimmy. In terms of his Nations Cup races, at the moment in the online season, he's done 36 of them. He's won 4 of them. He's had 16 top 5 finishes, led 48 laps out of 526. So he's a driver who's used to fighting at the sharper end of the field, and that is exactly why he's here in these top 16 Superstars events. You can't do a discredit from them, as Malky does finally pit off the medium tyre onto the hard. He's going to drop to the back of this pack as the drivers come through. How far back is he going to go, though? That is the crucial question. He's taking fuel on board here as well. Let's see what's going to happen here then for Christopher Malky. How far back is he going to go? He's going to drop back, I think, quite a way, because he took that fuel on board, and he's going to come out in the lower half of the top 10. He's down in, is that 11th position? Oh dear, Malky, it has not worked out at all for him. I know he's on that hard tyre and he can only run that for 1 lap, but he's not in clear air, and he's behind a lot of other drivers.
Yeah, but fueled a bit there. He came in with half a tank, and there's half the race left. So why are you putting 80 litres in? You know, I don't know, maybe there's something I'm missing there. Maybe I didn't quite read the numbers correctly. But so he'll be in, again, end of this lap, I'm fairly sure, and then going back to another set of mediums. I wouldn't try and one-stop it from here. It just would not be worth it on the tyre. Meanwhile, Giorgio Mangano is our leader. Manny Rodriguez hanging on in there as well. Great to see the Spaniard mixing in. Usually our best performing Spaniard is Coque Lopez. He's not here today, and Manny more than taking up the mantle. Of course, the Team Red Lion driver, been around forever in the Superstars events. It's great to see him still here and still performing strongly. Just currently chasing Giorgio Mangano. Someone else has been here for about as long as well. Onto the back straight, you see the understeer there. You can feel the understeer as you come out of there. It makes you cringe a little bit. And then we go down the back straight. See, straight away Giorgio Mangano pulled to the right hand side of the circuit just to break the toe for a little bit. And sometimes if you're sort of maybe looking down at your fuel, at your tyres, you won't notice that initially, and you'll lose a little bit of time, and those tiny bits of time really add up over the course of a lap.
So who's this race between then that we're looking at for the win? Is it between Mangano and Rodriguez? Is Connor involved realistically here?
I think he could be. I think Gallo's in it as well, although he's about a second back from this pack. But I think it's really the top 4 we have now, and maybe Beauvoir as well. Bear in mind, Beauvoir's made both his pit stops, so he's now going to the end. Yeah. Unless he wants another set of tyres. But if he does, that means he needs to be in this fight, because everyone, if he owes another stop, these guys owe 1 more stop. You know, you've got to make sure you're in the fight. There he is right now. He's in 6th place. And again, one of the fastest in practice, 2nd in qualifying as well. We know he has the pace to be at the front. Strategy-wise, he might be trying something a little bit different. We'll see how it works out. On-board shot there of the Audi TT as we break up to this left hand. Look how much curve he takes here. All of it, and a bit more. I think it's fair to say he's really stretching the track limits as much as he can. That's what you'd expect from our drivers here in the GT Superstars races. As we come now up to the hairpin. All that lock on. Be really careful in the front here. Watch his throttle pedal. You can see the inputs there. Easy, gets it straight and then throttles off. You get so close to that wall on exit. It's a bit scary.
Yeah, it is. It's really tight through that final sector. It's a bit of an interesting circuit of 2 halves. You've got fast and sweeping corners in the first 2 sectors, really. Then it tightens up massively in that last one, and that's where we're seeing the big moves being made and drivers running side by side with one another as Salazar comes into the pit lane. Medium to medium compound of tyres then for the Portuguese driver. That's his final stop then, presumably, in this race, with 9 laps now remaining. Fuel on board going on for Salazar there as well. Hasn't really featured too much in this race, unfortunately. Let's see what's going to happen, though. So through the right-hander and then the left here for Baptiste Beauvoir. And I'm intrigued to see, because he's closing that gap down. He's keeping it a bit of a constant here. Just looking at his lap times, he is a little bit faster than Tapai in front, about half a second or so. A bit faster than Valerio Gallo there as well, crucially. So he is closing up onto the back of that duo of drivers. Here is Tapai and Gallo in 4th and 5th position, respectively. And let's see whether any moves are going to be made here, because Gallo, of course, we know he's on the hard tyre, we know he's a bit of a sitting duck, we know Sapai will be trying to find his way past on that medium compact tyre before too long if he's to have any chance of battling for the final spot on the podium here in this race, but it's not going to be an easy task at all.
Definitely not. We're on board still with Tapai.
See Gallo going defensive through that left-hander as well there, just taking a tighter line in.
Yeah, he has to there. I mean, I think he's just trying to back him off. Sometimes you do that as a driver, you sort of just sit on your apex a bit, you're a bit lazy getting on throttle to make sure the guy behind you just not have to run out the corner. But that also might just be the fact that Gallo's on hard tyres, can't quite get the car turned in.
Possibly so. Still a good amount of straight line speed there for Valerio Gallo between himself and Adam Sapai, so even though he's on the harder compact tyre, not too shabby in a straight line there. Very much a difference in grip though on corner exit, as you can see Tapai closing up. He's not making any lunges though, is Tapai here. He's very close, but just he could send it down the inside, and I'm sure he'd make it on the brakes there, but he's just biding his time here. Is he trying to be patient, or do you just don't think he doesn't have the opportunity to find his way past now?
The thing is, he's been on those tyres for 8 laps, those medium compounder tyres, so they're not going to be feeling very fresh right now. So maybe he just doesn't quite have the confidence to be able to send down the inside and get it done. And I'm sure he's going to prove us wrong now, probably at the next corner, knowing us. But yeah, when the medium compounder tyres run out, it really just feels like the car has no bite in the front end at all. Conversely, Gallo, he's 7 laps into this stint on this compounder tyre, still running in 4th place, which is very impressive. And I expect we'll see him in the pits either end of this lap or end of next for his last stop, so 2nd stop. And I think Gallo looking very strong for the win if he can get this medium tyre turned on the next stint and put down some quick lap times.
Big if though, isn't it? That's the thing. And here comes Tapai again, looking really close there as Gallo parks it once more on the apex. All the while they're squabbling. That gap has come down between the duo that are squabbling for 4th place as they come into the pit lane now. Beauvoir's going to come sailing on through. I was just about to say the gap has come down quite significantly. Beauvoir doesn't go sailing on through. He goes into the pit lane once again for a medium set of tyres. So he is 3 stopping then quite clearly in this race here. And he's going to come on to the medium compound of tyre. Let's see whether this is going to be a strategy that works here for him.
Yeah, fuel's going to be a big deal as well. Let's see fuel-wise where everyone's come out. So he's not too far behind this little group here with Gallo and Malky as well. So Beauvoir has gained a little bit. And I think this is really where the lead is going to be. So Gallo and Taipei come out the pits together, and Gallo loses the place to Taipei, sorry. And I think, oh no, back through again. So I think just coming out the pit lane there, maybe Taipei took a little bit less fuel than Gallo did, just sitting behind him in the pit lane. And here's Malky as well, who we expect to see in the pits probably one more time, unless he's going to try and stretch it. And Malky goes a little bit wide into the grass, has no choice but to allow Valerio Gallo through. There's no way he can compete against that Audi on the fresher compounder tyre, and just has to give up the position. But for Gallo now, Malky's going to act as a little bit of a buffer to the rest of the cars.
That's brilliant there for Valerio Gallo. It was disadvantage to him last time around, it's now advantage to him. Here comes Baptiste Beauvoir, we're about to go 3 wide into the left hand. Is Beauvoir going to send it down the inside of them both? Into the left hand we go, and he does it! Brilliant driving there from Baptiste Beauvoir, late on the brakes, up the inside, into the top 5. That was commitment, and that is how you do it, as Malky drops 2 positions in 1 corner.
You haven't got to offer it to him twice, has he? He saw that coming from, yeah, I'll have that, and then straight up the inside, use that curve as we see him do so many times. So this is going to be important now. We've had Giorgio Mangano come up the pit lane. There's Rodriguez. Where are the rest of them? They're the rest of them there in the background, so a little bit further behind. But the difference, top 3 cars are on the hard compound of tyres, so it's now up to Valerio Gallo to chase them down.
And he's just gotten ahead of Marcus Connaughton as he came out of the pit lane there as well, so that's 1 less car for him to worry about. Valerio Gallo, he's now ahead of the Finnish driver. Beauvoir has got to get himself ahead of the Finn, and that could potentially ready to compromise him there. So let's see what's going to happen here. Connaughton, of course, is on the harder compound of tyre compared to the mediums.
So if you're wondering, by the way, that hard compound of tyre is about a second slower a lap than the medium compound, so there is enough time, if Beauvoir can get by as well, for him and Gallo to chase those top 2. Beauvoir past Connaughton. Again, Connaughton, not much he can do on that hard compound of tyre apart from to sort of let it happen, which will be frustrating for him, but it's going to be a sprint finish here in the Nations Cup. First round of the season 3. Great to be back here again, of course, round 24 overall. And Gallo and Beauvoir looking mighty right now, and already half a second has been gained on Rodriguez by Valerio Gallo.
This could be a very tantalising end to this Nations Cup race then here. I'm excited for these last 5 laps in this race. Valerio Gallo with the bit between his teeth, the faster compound of tyre, the fresh rubber underneath him, and Baptiste Beauvoir likewise as well. This is going to get very exciting indeed. So Mangano versus Rodriguez then. Blue flag's being waved there, presumably for a slower car that's in the foreground. That could be an interesting take on this as well if they come into a bit of traffic here. Into the left-hander of turn 1 we go though, and this is where it is going to get exciting. Just looking a little bit further down the order as well.
Sorry, Tom, gap's coming down big time, mate. That's 3 seconds now. You can see that they're all in the same frame. Gallo is storming up towards Rodriguez, and all the Spaniard can do is look at his mirror and go, oh no. Here comes the Italian, and he is very, very quick right now, and he's dragging Baptiste Beauvoir with him. So Rodriguez very much in an Italian sandwich right now, which sounds quite tasty, actually. I think I'm not sure is that okay to say that. Well, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not going to think about it too long. But a great onboard camera, oh my word. And that's what happens when you touch the grass there with the rear tyre. And if you want any indication of how fast or how much Gallo is pushing, there it is.
I winced then, I tell you, I really did cringe. I thought he was going to send it and loop it round, but Gallo there doing a really good job of holding it on, and it's quite counterintuitive when you slide in a front-wheel drive car because you have to just pin the throttle and hope that it sticks, really. Gallo doing a really good job, very quick reflexes there, holds on to third position, holds that gap firm. It's now down to 2.3 seconds. You sense it's a case of when, not if, he is going to find his way past for the race lead, and whether Baptiste Beauvoir is going to be able to follow suit. Just going back to my earlier thought, the man that was fastest last time around, set the quickest lap overall in this race, was Rick Kevlar, down in 8th place, a 1:23.6. So the Dutchman flying in these closing stages here as well, and he's got a lot of hard compound shod runners in front of him, so he could be potentially set to make up some ground in the last few laps here of this race. But Giorgio Mangano, Manuel Rodriguez, are they on borrowed time? Are they going to be able to hold on to their positions in this race, or are they going to be defenceless against the medium shod Valerio Gallo? That is the question that we're all asking.
It's going to be just a matter of time, I think. 1.8 seconds now between Rodriguez, this man in your frame here, and in the background, Valerio Gallo. Giorgio Mangano, luckily for him, our leader right now, is a bit of a buffer. So if he's hoping that when Gallo gets to Rodriguez, that Rodriguez holds him up somewhat, and that Mangano can just try and eke out the gap. But there it is, the two cars in the background, Gallo and Beauvoir, looking both equally quick at the moment. If anything, I think Beauvoir is slightly quicker than Gallo, but only slightly at this point. Look at the speed difference, and just like that, they're all in the same frame. There they are.
So this is getting very exciting indeed. These drivers setting very similar lap times to one another. The man who was quickest out of the quartet actually was Baptiste Beauvoir in 4th position, who is still bringing that gap down to Valerio Gallo in 3rd now, and sits at 0.7 of a second then. So 3 laps remain here at the Lago Maggiore circuit in the Nations Cup race for round 24 of the EMEA Region Top 16 Superstars event. Place your bets then and stand by your beds, because it is going to be a tantalising finish for these drivers. Valerio Gallo, the man on a charge, on a mission, on the medium tyres, with the pace and the car underneath him. And how soon is it going to be before he is going to strike against these top 2? The thing is, it's one thing getting close to your competitor, it's another thing getting past them.
Definitely, especially around here as well with these cars. There's got to be a bit of a lunge, and this is where the tyre difference makes the biggest difference. So you can see, look at him just driving up to the back of Rodriguez, about almost 2-3 tenths there, gain very, very wide though through that left hand. You can take a little bit of grass there if you're feeling cheeky, but not too much. And again, braking zone, you can see the gap come down as we now come up the hill once more. 20th time we've done this so far. 6 tenths behind us. You can bet, you just see in the mirror in the top right, look there he is, Baptiste Beauvoir. He's coming with us, and it's going to be just a matter of time. We're going to be in the slipstream now on board with Gallo as we come on through this last sector once more. He'll be waiting for the straight. He'll get a bit of a toe down there, which will get him even closer to Rodriguez. But importantly, Mangano stretching that gap at the front to 2 seconds between him and the Spaniard.
I was just about to say, I think he might be running out of time here for Valerio Gallo. He needs to get a bit of a shift on if he's going to get himself past Rodriguez and challenge his compatriot of Giorgio Mangano before the end of this race. There's now going to be just 2 laps remaining here at the Lago Maggiore circuit, and it's all to play for. But Gallo has got to find his way past, as has Beauvoir. They're just very close, but they're not quite able to be close enough to make a move. I wonder if he's going to be able to get himself into second, but it might be a bit too little too late for them. It's just, it's so exciting to see what's going to happen between these drivers, and we just don't know. That's the thing.
It'll be interesting. The medium tyre for those guys now will be starting to fall off a little bit. It won't quite have that same pace it had in the first few laps, and these guys are managing that, of course, whilst trying to push the car as much as possible. And you have to think, what if Gallo can't get by? Will Beauvoir then go for another free wide pass and try and get past both of them again? You never know. We know that these guys are very aggressive, but the right sort of aggressive. The decisive moves are what are the moves that get remembered by us guys in the highlights, and the ones that make you guys tune in every week. Rodriguez looking back from him right now from the Audi TT. Gap is about the same as it was last time around.
Just looking at the second times, they're exactly the same, they're identical. I wonder if those medium tyres are now past their best and he's just not able to find his way through. And you can see Beauvoir is doing a good job of closing up onto the back of Valerio Gallo, so instead of it being a squabble for the race lead, it may end up just being a squabble for the final position on the podium between Valerio Gallo here, as Rodriguez now has a 2-second advantage. Rodriguez though not doing a good job of keeping it on the straight and narrow there. Sorry, Mangano has a 2-second advantage over Rodriguez in the race lead. Lap 22 out of 23 we're on here, and I'm sure that Mangano must be just grinning now because he can sense that he's close to home. They're not close enough to mount a charge from behind. They're not even close enough to mount a charge on Rodriguez here at this point.
I think that'll change as this lap unfolds though, Tom. They're a lot closer than they were, only half a second between them now. We saw Rodriguez with some choice defending in our last manufacturer's race that we have broadcast. Let's hope we don't see anything similar to that today. I'm sure he's been slapped on the wrist. I would if I caught someone doing that. So Rodriguez now on board. 2 tenths is the gap, close enough to almost reach out and touch the rear wing of the TT in front of us as we come down the bottom of the circuit. Once more, hook the car on the inside of the curb, and now up, you can hear the car wheel spinning. Rodriguez straight away goes to the inside, tries to break the toe as early as possible. Will Gallo go for a move here? He's not quite close enough, I think, for a lunge, even with the tyre advantage, and still have to wait there. And that, of course, is meaning that Beauvoir is closer too. All the while, Mangano, 2.5 seconds now. This is going to be a battle for second. I think Mangano might have played a blinder here.
He's one of the only drivers inside the top 10, one of only 3 drivers who was in the 24s last time around, Mangano, and you're right there, Jimmy, he has played a blinder. He's kept his best until last, and he's now 2.5 seconds out in front. I don't think it's going to be close enough for these drivers to get themselves onto the back on that final lap, but they may challenge Rodriguez once more. It's now or never between them. Over the timeline we come then to start the final lap into the first corner. Gallo goes for a move down the inside, has a bit of a look against Rodriguez. Rodriguez runs it deep. Here comes Baptiste Beauvoir on the inside of the pair of them. There's contact between them as we come side by side, 3 wide on the corner exit. Beauvoir on the inside, Gallo in the middle, Rodriguez on the outside. Beauvoir's going to try and send it down the inside to the left-hander, but Gallo holds on to second position. It's getting close between these guys, and it's a battle for the podium between Gallo and Beauvoir on the final lap.
I was joking when you said to go for another 3 wide move, but he did it anyway. A little bit rough on the way through, but he goes up into third place. Gallo goes up into second as a result. Only a few corners left now, and it's going to be a fight to the end for second place.
So through into the left-hander, onto the back straight we go. This is where Baptiste Beauvoir can try and send it through down the inside. He's got the advantage of the slipstream, which Valerio Gallo does not have, of course, and if he's going to have a lunge, it's the best place to do so. Gallo knows that. He's wise to it. He goes defensive. That could compromise his corner exit. On the flip side, though, Beauvoir's going to try and hold it around the outside. Not able to do so as Gallo chops the nose off of the Italian driver through the right-hander. Just a couple of corners now remain as we flick it into the left on the hairpin. Beauvoir's on the outside, Gallo on the inside. Beauvoir not able to find his way through. Into the right-hander we go. Over the line we come for Giorgio Mangano. A brilliant race for the Italian driver, and it's an Italian 1-2 as Mangano wins. Gallo holds on to second, and Baptiste Beauvoir once again on the podium in the Nations Cup race in third position. What an absolutely thrilling end to round 24 of the EMEA region Top 16 Superstars race there. How exciting was that?
How's that for a finish? And we had 2 3 wide moments, and Beauvoir's in both of them, wasn't he? He's in a bit of a senti mood, he was. Shame he couldn't quite get Gallo, of course, from his perspective at the end there. But a great race from this man, Giorgio Mangano. Just because he isn't involved in the action doesn't mean it wasn't a fantastic drive. And I think it was just timing that hard tyre correctly. He got to a point where the tyres started to overlap, the medium tyres started to wear, and those hard tyres just kept going. And it meant that Gallo and Beauvoir just couldn't quite close that last bit up at the end there. But that was a great last lap, thoroughly entertaining.
And what about this this man here, Giorgio Mangano, despite being on the slower, harder competitive tyre, which we said earlier on is a second a lap slower than the mediums, was still quick enough to hold out an advantage. Not only hold out, but increase his advantage in the final 3 or 4 laps in that race. And that ultimately is what allowed him to take the win in the Nations Cup race for the top 16 superstars. Congratulations to Giorgio Mangano, Valerio Gallo and Baptiste Beauvoir, our podium finishers. What a brilliant race in the Nations Cup. What an amazing race in the top 16 superstars Nations Cup. I think we've just about gotten our breath back from that one, Jimmy.
Mad, absolutely mad that was. A couple of free wide moments, and the man that was in both of those moments is the man we're joined by now, Baptiste Beauvoir. A bit aggressive today, Baptiste.
Yeah, apparently.
Mate, that was some amazing racing, though. First of all, just talk us through how you're feeling after finishing on the podium. You were so close at the end to Valerio Gallo, but just wasn't quite meant to be for second place.
Yeah, I'm happy. Maybe one more lap and I will maybe pass Valerio at the end, but he did very well. But him and me, I think, is that the wrong strategy this time, because Giorgio's strategy was apparently faster. So congrats to Giorgio for that. And yeah, I really enjoyed this battle because it was very close. And apparently both strategy was very close in race time. So that was good. Good combo.
Well, mate, how do you go from driving a front-wheel drive Audi to then driving the Mercedes in manufacturer? They're so different. I mean, how do you transition between the two?
Yeah, it's very different between the SLS and the Audi. Before that, I maybe tried only one time the Audi. I know it was the only car to take for the race.
Drives it once, he says, and then comes third. What's that about?
Sending it down the inside like that after driving it once. Baptiste, mate, a pleasure to chat to you as always.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Well, we better be quick because Manufacturers Series action is coming up in just a couple of moments. So, Giorgio Mangano, the winner of the Nations Cup race. Giorgio, I mean, we're standing on our feet and applauding you here because that was an amazing race from you. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I feel very good. My strategy worked very well. So I think that was a very, very nice race.
Giorgio, just very quickly, talk us through those last few laps, because we were all convinced watching it that the hard tyre was not the tyre to be on, though.
I think I was a bit stressed because I knew they were on mediums. So I was scared that they were going to catch me. So, but then I had a good pace till the end because I think hard tires were less than mediums. So I managed to keep the same pace in the last, I think, 4 or 3 laps. So that was the key, to keep that distance and don't let the guy behind keep up.
So how about Manufacturers Series then? That's coming up next. How do you go from race win, super happy, to concentrated for the next race?
You have to be like fully concentrated and get in the right mood. So yeah, you have to switch to another car. So it's kind of tricky.
Giorgio, a pleasure to catch up with you, mate. Thank you so much. Good luck for Manufacturers Series and many congratulations on that great win.
Thank you very much. See you guys.
So that does wrap up the Nations Cup action here for the EMEA region, the top 16 superstars. Now, over to Manufacturer Series.
That was terrible. I hated that.
I love that. What was that?
Never do that again.
That.
Never do that again. Ever.
I think we've just about gotten our breath back, don't you, from that last one? God dear.
Yeah, man. Mad. Absolutely awesome. And as you can tell by this glorious change of colour behind us, it's time for the Manufacturer Series.
It is, yeah, and it's the end of course of Stage 2, the beginning of Stage 3, so let's just have a little reminder of what happened last time. Gallo leads the field over the line. Nikita Moisov, Rick Kevlar all slotting into the slipstream very close behind as they all try and get an advantage over their competitors. Down into the first braking zone of the first corner. Is anybody going to think about a move being made into there? It's a very long lap here, of course. It's crucial that you're patient. So the Dutchman in the Toyota is looking to try and get ahead. Is he going to be able to do so? Keep an eye out as well here for Valerio Gallo. The lead is going to change here because Kevlar has gone straight through to the front then. Beauvoir has got the run. Is he going to hold it around the outside? Surely not through there. That is brave, and that is brilliant from Baptiste Beauvoir.
Moisov has the overspeed. He should be able to go around the outside here, but Beauvoir would not make it easy for him.
Side by side they go down the Dottinger Hill then. Moisov on the outside, Baptiste Beauvoir on the inside. Mercedes versus Aston Martin. Who's going to get the position? It's Moisov through into second place. The Italian on top for Honda. Moisov versus Beauvoir to the line. A tenth of a second separating those two drivers. And look at this train of cars for the lower half of the top 10. Oh, you don't know where to look. So, an Italian dominated it last time. I wonder if it'll be the same this time. Anyway, as we said, it's the start of Stage 3, so let's take a look, shall we, and remind ourselves of the Stage 2 winners. That'll come up on your screen behind us now, and we'll see out of the 5 regions, of course, that we have for the FIA GT Championships, who is placed where. And you can see Ryota Kokubun, the Japanese driver, on top in the Asia region. If we look at Juan Hernandez on top in the Central South America region, Baptiste Beauvoir on top in the European region, Andrew Brooks, no surprise at all there in North America, and likely Cody Nikola Likovsky on top in Oceania as well.
Tell you what, it's nice, and you can tell by the fact that he's not wearing a nice red shirt. We've got a newcomer in here as well. Great to see more people getting involved and getting into these positions. Of course, it's a very tough place to break into, but if you can do it, then all power to you.
Yeah, absolutely right. And that's the thing we love about GT Sport, of course, is it's just inclusive for everybody. If you've got a PlayStation, whether it's a controller...
I'm laughing because, like, not you.
All right, fine, okay, I didn't need to dig at me, did you? Well, nor you either. Anyway, going over to the circuit that we're racing on for the Manufacturer Series, let's take a closer look at that, shall we? Because we're at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway Infield circuit. This, of course, is a track that some of you may know as a fictional one on GT Sport, as you can see, based over near California in America. 3.3 kilometers long, a track that is full of fast corners, some slow as well. But crucially, Jimmy, it's a roval.
I was going to say, can I say it? Can I say it? Roval, yeah. So half oval, half road course, meaning that front right tyre gets a bit of a beating around here as well. But it also means that our main zones are overtaking. Down the T1 with that slipstream, you're feeling brave at that hairpin down the bottom there. No elevation change whatsoever. So nice and flat.
Well, yes. Anyway, not necessarily the easiest track to go around those. We're about to find out, because the circuit, of course, is a little bit tricky, and there are different tyre compounds available for our drivers, meaning strategy is, of course, something that is quite important. So we sent Jimmy Broadbent on a crash course around the Blue Moon Bay Speedway to see how quickly he can negotiate it and what the differences are, crucially, between the tyres. Here's what happened.
Right, so I'm sure by now you guys are tired. Good, huh? Of Tom and I talking about tyre strategy in these races and the difference between, of course, our Michelin tyres we have in game. So I thought today I'll show you the difference. So, in our trusty Corvette, we're on the racing hard compounder tyre, which is usually the hardest compounder tyre we use during any sort of event in Gran Turismo. And the hard compounder tyre is known for being the most durable, but the least grippy. So we tend to see our guys get rid of the tyre as quick as possible and opt for multiple stops on a softer compounder tyre, basically for a faster lap time. So coming down to T1 now, let's try and aim this inside here. We want to try and aim to almost just grab this curve a little bit too shallow there. Run it out to the outside, and when you're driving around, it doesn't feel too bad, honestly. It feels quite fresh. It feels fairly grippy. Doesn't quite have that ultimate speed you expect from, say, a qualifying tyre, but enough to get you around as I'm managing to understeer through every corner. Again, part of that is one, turning in a bit too late, and two, I don't quite have that same bite that you'd have from a softer compound. It's coming down the hairpin now. And something as well that we don't really go over very often is that tyres also affect braking to some aspect as well. Of course, if you're really putting a lot of brake pedal into the car and the tyre is worn or not gripping as much as you expect it to, then you end up having a longer braking distance. So having fresher tyres actually helps that a bit. So through the last corner there, a little bit of a cut, don't tell anyone, I wonder if you won't. Round the last corner, nice easy drive to the line now, that right front taking a bit of a beating through the oval section. And our lap time through there, much slower than our superstars, of course, I'm happy to say. So 1:10.3. So what we're going to do now is get rid of these hard compounder tyres and crack on with the softs and see how they compare. So this time, if you look at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, I'm on the Racing Soft Compounder tyre, which is the fun compounder tyre, the faster of the Michelin tyres we tend to see in our events. And you won't see much of a difference down the straight, fortunately. When we get to T1, we should have a lot more bite than we had with that Racing Hard compound. Hopefully, anyway, if I can make the apex, which is also, you know, a bit of a chance act. Here we are, through T1. Again, grabbing that curve a little bit. Again, same sort of mistake I made there on the hard compound tyre. Nothing but not consistent. Now we go for this double left-hander. Bit of a dab of the brakes on the way in. The car will loop round. That's better through there. Feel a lot more confident with placing the car on this tyre. Responds a lot quicker with that initial bite. The downside, of course, to this tyre is whilst it is super grippy, super fast, it wears very quickly as well. Which means that if you're pushing this tyre too quickly, and after a couple of laps, you're going to find yourself probably with worse performance than the hard tyre. So it's just a balancing act, really, for our guys. There you go. This feels a lot easier to place the car where I want to place it. You have to really, I think ahead with the hard compounder tyre and take much more of a thinking approach to where you're placing the car. Act earlier, turn in earlier, get on the throttle later. With the soft tyre, it's all just a little bit easier. And we should see that reflected in the lap time. 1:10, of course, for the hard compounder tyre. Wasn't the best lap in the world. This one, though, with a soft compounder tyre and a bit more confidence, a 1:08.0, so 2 seconds faster on the soft compounder tyre. The difference probably isn't quite that much, say close to 1.5 seconds, but that is the difference there between the hard and soft tyre.
Nice to hear from you there then, Jimmy. Tyre and strategy. Interesting kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about it, frankly. No, but I mean, there, for example, you're just seeing how the different tyre compounds work. I mean, we use a soft tyre to sort of just exaggerate and show you the difference. It's only the hard and medium being used today, but still, you know, the fresher tyre, a lot faster. About a second, maybe, I reckon, in the good hands. So don't put me in there and do that again, because you're not going to get a good result.
Well, that's all about race conditions, of course. Now, though, our focus is definitely on qualifying and where the drivers are going to be lining up on the grid. So let's head over, shall we, and see exactly what is occurring for our drivers. So, minute and 29 seconds left at the moment. The fastest man is this guy here, Nikita Moisov. As we can see, Group 3 cars available for these drivers. Very close, though, between. Look at Romero and Naudi there. Naudi, a new name, actually. Come more on that a little bit later, but they've set exactly the same time in second and third.
That'll be a bit of a... You won't be happy with that if you're a Naudi. You'd be like, oh, come on. that should be second place, but super close. I mean, let's go down to 8th position. So... From second to 8th, it is 7/100ths of a second. But that is how close it is around here. So the car's very well matched. We're looking at Romero right now, repping that VW drop top. He's got his hair in the wind coming down the straight here. Tapai goes up into second place. Can Romero go any better? Of course, we are qualifying with other cars on track. So having a draft round here is going to be quite beneficial if you can find one, which means positioning, as always, in these qualifying sessions is quite important.
Let's see what's going to happen then. With only 30 seconds remaining, this will be the last flying lap for many drivers. As you can see, only a minute per lap, but it could be a case of last driver over the timing line really would be the best position to be in. The man I'm looking at is Valerio Gallo. Here he is, ready to come over the timing line. He was fastest overall in the second sector. Is it going to be provisional pole position for the Italian? Bam. It certainly is. A 1:06.105. That is an absolute benchmark for the other drivers to beat, and it's now going to be now or never for them to do it.
He's got one more go. He might have another stab at it. I mean, he did lose a little bit of time in the last sector, I guess, because of no draft. He's currently down by 500, so still we're in a chance of improving if he has a good middle sector. Right now it stands Gallo, Moisov, Tapai, Romero, Naldi and Brea there. 2 Citroens in the top 6, 5th and 6th position. They're fighting it out. Here we are on board with Gallo, going through that midsection, through the hairpin, easing the throttle on exit, take the car to the right hand side of the circuit and then back over. And meanwhile, Romero using the draft there of Bullet to get down into the 1:06.0 range. So he goes now on provisional pole.
Very exciting stuff there for Romero. Can he be toppled though? That is the question that everybody's asking. And as Jimmy said, it could be about the slipstream here. So a lot of drivers ready to complete their final flying lap, or have indeed completed them then. Malky won't go any better than 10th position in the Chevrolet. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to do it back Baptiste Beauvoir's down in 13th position. He has Nikita Moisov very close behind, who's in the slipstream. Can Beauvoir at least improve his position on the grid? It's only 12th fastest at the end of qualifying. Moisov stays third, but now down to 13th as Hafidi goes up into 11th place there at the end of the session. But Baptiste Beauvoir, that's a shocker of a qualifying for the Frenchman.
Imagine being 3/10 off pole and qualifying 13th. That's how close it is round here today. Amazing.
Unbelievable stuff there. So Romero qualifies on pole position ahead of Valerio Gallo then in the Manufacturers Series. I just can't believe how close that was.
Yeah, just insane. Again, as I said, 3/10 separating the first 13 drivers. So it's going to be a bit of a slipstream fest, this one, calling it now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let's take a closer look, shall we, at the race details, which will come up on your screen behind us, or on our screen behind us as well.
Hopefully.
In just a couple of moments' time. The power of technology
There you
coming
go.
into play. Look
Wound
at
it
that. There we are. Put a bit of coal in the machine and it's all working fine. Blue Moon Bay Speedway, Infield A layout, Group 3 cars, as we know, racing hard and medium tyres available.
Again, 30 laps.
Yeah, exactly.
1-1.
That's the crucial one, isn't it? 30 laps, tyre strategy is going to be important. What do you reckon? 2 stops, 3 stops, 10 stops, 12 stops?
Depends how many times you're in the barrier, I suppose. But I'd say around here, of course, it's not actually that bad on tyres. It's quite easy on tyres around here. So I have seen some people going really long on that medium compounder tyre and maybe 2 stops. But I think the winning strategy is probably going to be 3. Fuel will come into it as well. So we'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, crucial. If the drivers can save a bit of fuel in the slipstream or just back off, lift and coast, something along the lines of that, it might help them, especially if they're in a close battle towards the end of the race. Let's see what's going to happen then as we head over to the grid and get the Manufacturer Series race underway for the EMEA region. Over to the grid then for the start of the Manufacturers Series race for round 24 of the top 16 superstars. It is the start of stage 3. Romero, this Spaniard, lines up on pole position in the Volkswagen. First Volkswagen I think we've seen on pole all year. Valerio Gallo in the Honda lines up alongside him. Third place on the grid, heading the second row is the Czech driver Nikita Moisov in the V12 Aston Martin, with Adam Tapai for the Ford team alongside him on that second row in the GT. Then it's the Citroën of Naudi, the Frenchman, making his debut in the top 16 superstars. Welcome and a very good result. His fellow Citroën driver, Jose Brea, lines up in P6. P7 is Melvin Abraham Hargan in the Mazda Atenza. And then alongside him, Manuel Rodriguez, who we saw fighting for a podium last time out in the Nations Cup. Quentin Velasco in the Ferrari lines up in P9. And alongside him is Christopher Mauki, the Swedish driver, down in 10th position. Hafidi, the Frenchman, down in 11th place. Not a bad qualifying, though, for him here, with Mangano down in P12 as well. Also work to do from our Nations Cup winner. The big talking point, though, Baptiste Beauvoir, 13th place on the grid, but 0.3 of a second off. Can he convert that into a better result in the race? Buller lines up alongside him in 14th position. The final row of the grid completed by Carlos Salazar in the rotary-engined Mazda RX Vision GT3 concept, and Alex Musen, the second of the Volkswagens, down in 16th position. Now's our first look at tyre strategy here, Jimmy. What are your thoughts?
My first thoughts is VW at the front of the field, VW at the back of the field. At least they've got a nice big sandwich in between them, I suppose. Yeah, lots of drivers opting to start on the medium tyres on the hard. It's a bit of a mixed strategy here. It's not quite as easy as just start on the medium tyre and put away, because the slipstream round here is pretty intense. We've seen that in other races that hard tyre runners can keep up with medium tyre runners if they have the slipstream. So all about positioning, and I think working together around here is going to be the name of the game if you want a chance of winning this.
So Romero then is ready to lead the field over the timing line. 30 laps of the Blue Moon Bay Speedway Infield A layout ready to come for our drivers here. Who's going to be on top when the checkered flag falls is anybody's guess at the moment, but I'm intrigued to find out, as I'm sure you are at home as well. Valerio Gallo in second place. Keep an eye out for him. Very fast starting, very aggressive driver there as well. Maybe the Honda will be very competitive. Let's see what happens. Round 24 of the top 16 superstars for the Manufacturer Series in the EMEA region is underway here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway as Romero leads the field over. Drivers weaving to get some heat into their tyres as they head in towards the left-hander of turn 1. Off the banking they come. Everybody being very clear through there. Gallo taking a tighter inside line as Romero tries to sweep in around the outside. Back onto the banking we go as we come through turn 2 and then go hard onto the brakes into the left-hander. So everybody taking it very careful there, but Valerio Gallo looking very punchy indeed in these first couple of corners.
And you've got to be careful here, really easy to pick up a penalty. If you're sticking your nose in where it doesn't belong in the first few laps, you do not want that because you'll go flying down the field, especially around here. Penalty zone is on the straight, so horrible.
Gallo, look at that.
Yeah, just sending it up the inside there, making that move early, ignoring what I was saying about sticking your nose in. But of course, now he's on the outside. Romero is going to try and push him wide, but Gallo's got the run. Round he goes to the outside. Nice move there by Valerio Gallo. As you said, fast starting, aggressive, and putting that to play here up into first. So now he's going to be giving that draft to everyone behind him. So we'll see how this pans out, but I think that Romero and Moisov looking very strong too in the Aston Martin, already putting to the inside of Romero, and you see also giving Moisov a bit of a draft there.
Might have been a lucky qualifying lap there for Romero. Maybe the car not quite as fast in race trim, but we know slipstream's very important, and that is proving to be effective there for Romero as he goes ahead of Gallo into the first corner, holds it around the outside. That's a nice bit of driving there from Romero into the race lead ahead of Gallo, ahead of Moisov now. All of these drivers looking very close to one another. Tapai as well as Naudi not too far adrift there. You can see Romero taking a tighter line through the left-hander. Gallo certainly signifying his intentions as they come through. We ride on board with Nikita Moisov, who's got a great view of the action unfolding in front of him. But what is he thinking behind his cockpit at the moment? What is he thinking behind the wheel? What's going through his mind, and when is he going to launch an attack?
I think he was thinking, oh dear, and then he ran into the back of Valerio there. I don't want to be doing that. That'll pick you up a penalty. This is interesting because Gallo's car is very slow in a straight line, it seems, at NSX, from what I've just seen on the straight there. This VW and this Aston Martin, which has historically been a bit of a missile on the straight line, are having a much better time. He'll be a good indicator to see what we can expect for the rest of the race, because now Romero is leading, Gallo is in the tow, he's just about gaining, not as much as everyone else was. Here comes the Aston Martin 2 gaining on both of them, so it seems that Romero, that VW in a straight line's got enough legs to keep Gallo there until T1, which is really important to know if you're the driver. Moisov fancies to go up the inside too. He's got the inside line here, but up the inside line to the next corner if he can keep it there. No, he can't, has to pull out of it, and Romero keeps second place for now. These three already breaking away from the rest of the pack.
They're working together to an extent at least, but they're all battling with one another and just having a bit more pace over Naudi, who is in fourth position there. And of course, as we said, Naudi making his debut here in the top 16 Superstars. Good to see him up and fighting in the sharp end of the field. Clearly put a bit of practice in. Adam Tapai's had a problem though. He was running inside the top 5 and is now very far down the order in 16th position, so it has not gone well there for the Hungarian driver. He's got a lot of time to make up now, sitting at the back end of the field as it's all kicking off inside the top 10. Baptiste Beauvoir trying to make progress after qualifying down in 13th place. He's on the inside of Quentin Velasco. Up the inside goes the Frenchman, lifts him off a little bit there into the wall. Quite forceful, I think, from Baptiste Beauvoir, but he's through now into 9th position with Moussen also ahead of the Briton of Velasco as he comes into the pit lane, followed by Salazar as well.
Beauvoir's got to be careful. He's one of these guys that has picked up penalties in the past. Look at the speed of this VW in a straight line, just driving on by, you know, roof down, he's loving it, stereo blasting. Don't worry about it. Goes a bit wide though in T1. You can see him almost running into the wall there, just being saved by the camber of the oval, and in 9th place for now. But a good start from Beauvoir, of course, from where he started. I say that, people have pitted in front of him, so I guess it's just there because he hasn't pitted yet. But that Merc not looking happy around here, Tom.
Not at all, that's the understatement of the century. So Baptiste Beauvoir, maybe he wasn't able to hook a lap together, maybe he was impeding on his fastest lap. There's a lot of traffic out there during qualifying, so maybe that could have caused him to be in a bit of strife, but let's see whether he can make some progress through the field. Either way, it's not gone well at all for Baptiste Beauvoir here so far as he just tries to make his ascension through the field. Here comes Valerio Gallo on Nicolas Romero then, though. Once again, the story repeats itself. Those two, pretty bit of daylight between themselves and Nikita Moisov here on lap 4. Let's see whether they're able to work together and try to fight their way through. On to the inside goes Valerio Gallo with the advantage of the slipstream. Jose Breyer into the pit lane there onto the medium tyres from the hard. Up the inside goes Valerio Gallo and into the race lead once more.
Did you see there, when he pulled out of the draft, the VW started to pull away again? That VW is ridiculous down the straights, and I think conversely, NSX is pretty terrible down the straights. It's fantastic in the infield, which is why Gallo is, of course, along with his considerable driving talent, is able to keep with the guys through there. But on the straights, he's a bit of a sitting duck, so that's really going to come into play when you think about how the end of this race may or may not pan out. Here's Baptiste Beauvoir, still in 8th place, someone who is, by his standard, out of position, but then chucks it up the inside of Moussen there, who saw him very late. I say chucked it. Penalty. I think he hit him. He must have hit him there. So 3-second penalty there for Baptiste Beauvoir. we've said in the past he can be a bit aggressive, sometimes a little bit too aggressive, and that's not one of his chances here, Tom.
Oh dear, the body language of Baptiste Beauvoir, I'm sure, says it all. Seventh position rather, a 3-second penalty. And that is going to put paid to what is a disappointing Manufacturer Series race for him, where he traditionally goes so well. Now, Romero back into the lead. Valerio Gallo goes into second place. Are these drivers working together, or are they just significantly quicker than Moisov at this point, do you think?
Yeah, they're working together. They need to at this point. This is the thing, right, when you're out there on the circuit, and it's kind of hard to communicate it because you're both in your little cars, you know, you're both in your rigs, you both got your headsets on, you're both concentrating, and the only way you can communicate is through body language of the car. And right now, Valerio Gallo is saying, I want to come by. As you can probably tell, he chucks it up the inside of the hairpin using the cornering ability of that NSX compared to the VW there. Great move, but of course that's going to mean he's going to be just driven past on the straight. The thing is, if these guys fight too much, it goes from Gallo goes wide onto the grass, just about keeps it in front, but my point was going to be, if they fight too much, then Gallo and Romero, it's not going to be just a two-way battle for first, it's going to be a four-way battle for first, so it's better just to work together. And look at that VW, that's ridiculous.
Unreal, isn't it? As I've wondered if it might have been a fluke to get that pole position, given he had a bit of a slipstream there, but Romero, just astounding straight-line speed with that Volkswagen. Look at him, just pulling away. That's, what, a car length, 2 car lengths nearly into the first corner that he had over Valerio Gallo. That bodes well for the final lap if it sets it up like this.
I bet you he's sitting there, right? He's got his seat back, he's got his one hand on the wheel, looks at Gallo on the way by, gives them the Luigi death stare, and just drives on by.
Your vision of what racing drivers are like is so warped, mate. So, Giorgio Mangano, another driver, having a bit of an off race down in 11th place. We know that Lamborghini, not necessarily the fastest car in Group 3 trim, has been on form in some races though this year. Maybe the BOP's changed, and maybe that is why Mangano's struggling, or maybe he's just not been able to hook it all together here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway. I'm not quite sure, but either way, he's a little bit further down the order than he would like to be at the moment.
Well, yeah, straight line speed around here is the tricky thing. If you don't have that, then especially around Blue Moon, then it's tricky to keep with the rest of the pack, even if you do have the tow like everyone else here. And in front of them now, Velasco in the Ferrari has picked up a 3-second pair. On board now with Carlos Salazar in the Mazda RX Vision here. Fantastic sounding car, this thing. Love the sound of the rotary as it blasts on by. Unfortunately, not too quick down the straight, and we have him in picture as well. You can see the driver at work in the office, so to speak. Our version of the cockpit cam, I think it's not too bad.
It's all right, isn't it? I mean, you know, the good thing is he doesn't have to wear a helmet and all those fireproof overalls. I was doing that myself the other day whilst testing a little Citroen, and I was sweating quite profusely after a few laps. No such problems here for these drivers, though. 8 laps into this 30-lap race, which is one advantage to sim racing that you don't have in the compared to the real world. Now, Velasco got a 3-second penalty. That's going to cost him quite a lot here. You can see him about to serve that penalty. Goes through the yellow markers, pulls off to the racing line. Sensible that, because we've seen a few drivers not doing that, coming onto the racing line. When they come back into vision, there's a bit of a collision, and it costs somebody else a lot as well, and it compromises their race.
Definitely got to be not doing things that make you look bad.
Where have you heard that before?
I've heard that about 4 times today as well, which was horrible. Setting up a new console is a terrible thing, guys. Don't do it if you have to listen to Tom Brooks again.
Thank you. It's only because you don't like my voice. Anyway, here comes Naudi battling for the podium in his first ever Top 16 Superstars race. The Frenchman sends it down the inside of the Czech driver Nikita Moisov, and the Citroen ahead of the Aston Martin into 3rd place there. So he's got his act together. Whether the medium tyre's coming to him, whether he's just got a bit more pace, either way, that's a nice position for him to be in.
I just realised how ridiculous that rear wing is on the Citroen. I've never seen it clearly before. It looks absolutely fantastic, like a plane on wheels, essentially. That is what the vibe is when you're inside the cockpit. But as you said, Tom, for a newcomer, 3rd place is a fantastic effort so far. So definitely be watching Naldi in the future if he's going to bring this sort of energy to these races. Very impressive indeed. And most importantly, he's only 1.5 seconds at the back of Gallo and Romero. So this could, again, as I said earlier on, turn into a 4-way scrap for the lead if Gallo and Romero get a bit too fighty.
Well, I hope that if nothing else, Naudi fighting so far at the front will give a bit of inspiration to you at home. Maybe if you're thinking about getting involved in the FIA GT Championships and these Top 16 Superstars races, just goes to show that if you put the hard work in, you get yourself out on track, you could be fighting at the front of one of these races. Romero back in front then, ahead of Valerio Gallo. Out of the slipstream he pulls into the race lead once more. Lap 10 out of 30 we're on. So it's just a slipstream battle between these guys. It's just whatever you can do, I can do better at the moment between them. And a bit of exchanging of positions a little bit further down between Brea and Beauvoir. Brea ahead of Beauvoir, Mangano also ahead of Buller for 10th position there.
Gallo's in a position now where there's not much he can really do, to be honest, apart from just trading places with Romero. He can't break free because that VW will just catch him down the straight. If he stays behind Romero, he's not going to get the speed he needs to sort of pull away from Nardi and Moisov together. So these two right now have no choice but to work together. And that's why you're seeing them swapping positions down the straight. That's why you're not seeing anyone defending, because if they defended each lap like it was the last lap, then, well, one, there's a big chance they're going to hit each other, and two, they're going to just be joined by everyone behind because they'll be slowing each other up. Now, this is interesting. No, Romero, I thought was going to dance a bit there. Now, I think Gallo thought that too because he didn't follow him down. And that's going to mean he loses a bit of time. Look what happened when he's not on the sim strip. He's 3 tenths behind now on the straight and is unable to retake the position into T1.
Crafty there from Nicolas Romero then. Let's see whether that is a strategy that proves to be effective. 4 tenths per second, the advantage now sits that he has over Valerio Gallo. So Naudi in 3rd position is all the time closing on these drivers as well. He's about 3 tenths of a second faster than Valerio Gallo, who is in P2 at the moment.
I was going to say, that tactic there by Romero, putting down to the inside, that's actually a real-life tactic used a lot in oval racing. Run a roval. I don't know if I told you that, Tom, or not. Run a roval.
You've not mentioned it.
I love that word, it's so good. And the really hilarious thing, though, in sim racing is when someone tries to do the dummy and they just drive into the pit wall. I've seen that so many times.
We've seen that before as well, haven't we? Let's be honest.
Laughs in Carlos Salazar.
Yes, oh dear. Sorry, Carlos. And down in 12th place is not the race that the Portuguese driver would have wanted. But either way, good to see him in the top 16 Superstars. It's a credit for all these drivers to be here racing in these as well, because of course there's the online season. There's a lot of drivers fighting to get themselves on the grid for these top 16 Superstars events. So just to get themselves here is no mean feat. And I'll be intrigued to see how it is going to play out. We're running on board here with Naudi, as we said, one of the newcomers in this event. One of the other drivers is Buller, the German, down in 11th position, driving for a German manufacturer. He is in a bit of a squabble with the Italian Giorgio Mangano. Quite fitting, really, the German driver, German manufacturer, Italian driver in front, Italian manufacturer.
It's national pride there. It's quite nice to see. And by the way, just something that I noticed is the cars look like they're going to have a massive accident when they come onto the oval, off the oval. They go off then back on again through T1, and the cars look like they're going to just have a massive crash. But that's just it's very controllable. I've done it before, but it looks great.
It's compressing the suspension, isn't it, going through there? It's just the car is just like it looks more impressive than it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wish I could give you some story about the drivers being all heroes, but if I can do it, these guys can do it too. And great battle there developing for 7th, 8th and 9th between Brea Beauvoir, who started in, I think, 13th at the end, and Musen in the VW Beetle. This thing is a mad in a straight line. These guys, Musen has not pitted yet. He's coming down now to do that, as I say so. So a look at the pit lane here. The NASCAR-style pit crew jumping over the wall there. Again, another fact is in NASCAR, on rovals and ovals, you have to stay behind the pit wall to your guys in the box.
I hope people are playing Roval bingo at home, because if they are, they'll be, or if they're like a Roval drinking game, every time you say that they have to take a shot or something.
You have a shot of lemonade.
A shot of lemonade. They will be absolutely hyped up on sugar by the end of this race. It'd be a caffeine hit that you didn't know existed, thanks to Jimmy Broadbent. So
I like to serve, man.
Goodness me. Here's Melvin Abraham Hargan battling with the Swede Christopher Malky then. So Chevrolet versus Mazda. Two very different looking cars, of course. The Chevrolet, a real world GT3 car, the Mazda not so. And that's the beauty really of Gran Turismo, is that we're able to bring you cars that perhaps we'd love to see in the real world, such as this Mazda. But we're not able to do so for one reason or another, and we're able to bring them close together and bring racing like this. I mean, just look at the plethora of manufacturers that are fighting amongst the field. Meanwhile, back to them in a moment, Naudi, Moisov and Gallo into the pit lane here. Crucially though, the race leader of Nicky Romero continues on in the front of this race.
So that'd be interesting. That'd be interesting to see what happens once he...
Oh, this is interesting as well. Look at how, sorry, Jimmy, just how close Gallo comes out, but he comes out crucially in traffic here on his outlap.
That's sort of what I was getting at there. I was wondering where he was going to pop out of the pit lane. And this is, I say a blessing and a curse, blurst, we call it. I think not quite where he wants to be. I mean, he needs that toe, because we know that NSX it's just slow in the straight line. But at the same time, these guys aren't the fastest. You see that flash of lights and go say, I'm coming through, mate, whether you like it or not, give me the line or we're both going off. Senna style, as we come now for the second part of the course. He's not going to have one, he's going to have two. Rounding out on Malky as well. Valerio Gallo making short work of these guys. Back up into second place, wasting absolutely no time at all. Fantastic.
I'd like to put an official complaint to somebody who is involved with the Oxford Dictionary as well for Jimmy Broadbent's portmanteaus. We've had rovals, we've had blurs, we've had... I don't know what the next one's going to be.
These are all real words, okay?
In your mind. Romero into the pit lane then. He goes medium to medium, so he's going to run the hard at the end of this race, probably on the final lap, one would imagine. Let's see how that works out here for Romero. Where is he going to emerge? Where's Gallo going to emerge here as well? I think he's going to take over at the front. He is.
Nice.
So there you go. Nicky Romero is out in P2. Gallo, despite that traffic on his outlap, is into the race lead, and he's got a bigger advantage than he has had all race.
Shows you how important it was for him to get those elbows out. This is the thing now. Gap is 9 tenths. If Gallo can stretch that through the midfield, get it up above a second, there's a chance he'll be able to pull away. But even so, we know that VW is quick. I've said it about 1 billion times. That's part of our bingo as well. Get on that lemonade. If he's quick enough to get within a second down the straight, then we know that Gallo cannot get away, basically. So we're going to see here, this is going to be pivotal for the race. Gallo pulls out of the large chicane, 1.1 seconds. That's outside of a toe for now. Now we come onto the oval now, and this is where that VW shines. So watch that gap there, the top left-hand corner of the screen. 1.05. Yeah, it's coming down, I think. So we'll see if he gains on the straight. And there goes the VW. Look at the difference in speed, really. That poor NSX.
Nothing you can do about it there. Malky and Abraham Hargan into the pit lane, then again onto the medium compound of tyre. They're making their first scheduled stop in this race. Just over the halfway stage, we are down to 8 tenths of a second. It is into the braking zone between Gallo and Romero, so it's definitely coming down. So the good thing is for Romero here is he knows that gap is coming down. If he just chips away at it a few tenths of a second per lap, he'll surely be all over the rear wing of Gallo before the end of this race.
Definitely. So Gallo that lap, and there you go. He was really pushing because that was the fastest lap of the race at 106.4. Although saying that, Romero wasn't too slow either, although even just coming out of the pit lane. So these guys really pushing at the moment. Moisov's still there though, 1.8 seconds behind, and Naldi's gone for the hard compound. So interesting. I wonder if he can stay with him.
I'm intrigued to see what's going to happen there for Naldi, because he's been out on that for more than one lap or so. I wonder, we have seen it in other regions, drivers going and just doing a one-stop, going onto the harder compound of tyre for the second half of this race, whether he's going to opt for a similar strategy. Didn't necessarily work for that driver in particular that I'm referring to, but it may do here for Naldi. Let's see what's going to happen.
I think a couple of laps in the hard, back onto the medium. That's what I reckon. Because the thing is, you can have a couple of laps in the hard tyre around it if you have a draft.
It's a short lap, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not too bad. So, and the more laps you do on the hard tyre, the less you're going to do on the medium at the end, and the more speed you're going to have at the end. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
Problems, by the way, for Heedy, the other driver who is down in 16th position. He's been in the pit lane for an awfully long time, unfortunately, and looks like that is the end, indeed, of his race for one reason or another. Shame for the second Ford driver on the grid. Hopefully we'll see him back out in future top 16 Superstars races. There is Gallo, though, hard on the brakes, 1.1 seconds. The gap now sits between himself and Nicolas Romero then. It's getting interesting. That lap, once again, last time around, was just a couple of hundredths of a second faster than Nicky Romero in second position for Valerio Gallo. So certainly looking very quick indeed. It was actually a personal best lap last time around for Romero, so he's definitely pushing on here, is the Spaniard, but just not quite able to close up enough on Gallo at the moment. I wonder how much fuel he's going to be using doing this as well here, Romero, as well.
Both of them pushing right now. And this is exactly what Gallo needed. He can afford to lose a couple of attempts on the straight if he then gains half a second on the midfield. So that's all part of the strategy. As predicted there, Naldi coming in, getting rid of that hard compounded tyre. Might take a little bit of fuel. All the drivers right now, though, actually seeing like they are pretty much okay on fuel. Maybe with the exception of Tapai there, he might need a little bit of a splash at the end, but the driver's making the fuel last. We've seen a couple of people not having to take fuel at all. So there is an element of that around him. This is where Valerio Gallo shines in this middle section. That NSX is so agile compared to the other Group 3 cars, but you know, the price it pays is that it has no straight line speed. Here is Melvin Abraham Hargan behind Malky, the Swedish driver. Did okay in the Manufacturers Series, doing better here in the Nations Cup, doing better in manufacturers, I should say, in the Corvette. That's a car I drove around here. I guarantee you he's driving it a bit quicker than I am.
Not that difficult, though, is it?
You know what? I can throw stuff at you from here, man. I can hit you.
He probably can as well. We are a little bit of a fair old social distance away, but Jimmy's got good aim, unfortunately, for me. So Abraham Hargan then sitting in P5. On to the straight we go once again. Malky there in 4th position. What's the difference in straight line speed going to be here between the Chevrolet and the Mazda? Is Abraham Hargan going to be close enough? He's closing, but he's not close enough for a lunge at the moment, I don't think, on Malky.
Tell you what they've got to do. They've got to put that rotary engine in this Mazda. Oh, bit of a boop there. Just a little bit of a kiss. Hello, I'm behind you. I'm sure Malky knows that already. Full of rear view mirror, that Mazda will be for him. You can use quite a lot of that curve there. People don't tend to do that sometimes. There's differing lines through here. See, on the inside, you can really eat that curve and then use it on the exit too. The thing is, that curve is actually a lot thinner than you think it is, and a penalty there. So there was contact between the two of them. We didn't catch that. We didn't pull back off the screen there. So I think it was a second penalty, I think that was. He slowed down there. That'd be a bit of a nightmare for Abraham Hargan, who's being absolutely wrecked there by Naldi round the outside, making use of the fact that Mazda was slow. And Naldi now, bear in mind, he hasn't got to stop again. He's done. No more stops for him. He's going to the end of that compound of tyre. So he is the highest person up in the order that has made his 2 stops. What can they do from here?
Yeah, Naldi looking like Christmas has come early then for the Citroen driver. A little bit of clear track in front of him, crucially here as well, 1.9 seconds, just so he can just kind of get his head down, really. Hopefully he's not too bothered by Abraham Hargan. I say that as Abraham Hargan darts to the inside with the advantage of the slipstream. Pulls down into the first corner and pulls into 5th place there as well. Is Musen going to think about a move? Not close enough to mount a charge, but Naldi, despite getting ahead, is soon overtaken once again by the Briton of Melvin, Abraham Hargan. So it's as you were then between these drivers at the moment, and Abraham Hargan from battling for 4th position, now struggling to hold on to P5, involved in this squabble with 3 other cars. Very squirrely there for Naldi as he just takes up a bit too much curb, and that's the thing. Even though these cars have got big wings and a lot of downforce in the slower corners, they can be a little bit sketchy.
Yeah, big wang gang we have here. All the lads together as we come now to this double left-hander. Yeah, this is the ebb and flow of these circuits, is that if you have a car like that Mazda, which seems pretty strong in a straight line, then what can you do if you're Naldi apart from just let things flow? What he won't be liking is seeing that VW in his mirror, because that is the car to watch out for 100% around here. And let's see if Naldi can have another go then down towards T1. There's got to be a smooth mood. Meanwhile, Baptiste Beaufoy quietly making his way up the field, up into 8th place. He still has a pit stop though, I think. Yeah, he does, yeah. So still making his way up. Naldi there still defending 5th position. This is meanwhile at the front of the field too. Valerio Gallo, that gap is staying at about 1.5 seconds. So Gallo, I think, if he can keep this up, looking very good around here.
The Italian driver coming good once again. So, well, Giorgio Mangano, as we saw last time, was dominant in the Nations Cup race. In the Manufacturer Series, it's the other Italian of Valerio Gallo in the Honda NSX, who has always been at the sharp end of the field. And this will be a welcome result for not only him, but also the Williams eSports team as well, who, of course, he is racing with there now, as you can see. Very lovely looking livery on his car. Adam Tapai into the pit lane there as well, down in 15th position. So things have gone wrong for the second of the Ford drivers in this race. Looks like we're only going to get 14 classified finishes, which will be a very big shame indeed. Down towards that first corner we go once again. Lap 22 out of 30 we are on here. And here is Baptiste Beaufoy, quite mid stage of the race really it's been for him. Now making progress as he's all over the rear wing of Alex Musen then, the second of the Spaniards in the field at the moment. Into the first corner, signaling his intentions there, Beauvoir, but just doesn't look to have the car underneath him at the moment, I think.
Yeah, that Merc around here just doesn't seem that quick compared to the others. I mean, in the midfield, I think maybe a little bit, but just not enough to get by. You know, you've got to have a car that's a bit quicker than the car in front to get by. That sounds very silly when I say it back in my head, but it's true. Coming now down to the hairpin. This is a good place to overtake if you're close enough, but look, Baptiste nowhere near. So right now all he can do is sort of hang on to the back, hope there's a mistake, maybe pick up the pieces from there. But it's just going to be a frustrating race for Baptiste. He did sort of say when we had a chat with him about it that he knew the car wasn't great here as well. He wasn't really expecting a good result, but I think midfield is about where he saw himself.
You can see him short shifting there, just trying to get some traction. So I wonder if he's having problems just getting off of the corners. I know the tyres are coming towards the end of their shelf life, but either way, not looking that great. Is looking good though out of this corner and is in the slipstream very much of Musen once again. But is he going to have the straight line speed? Because we know how fast that Volkswagen is in the straight line. Beauvoir has got even better straight line speed, pulls alongside the Spaniard. Frenchman versus Spaniard then, side by side, down to the first corner. Beauvoir later on the brakes and into 7th position there.
Very nice and clean. Will he be able to keep it? That's the question. So he's got to have a good mid-sector now, have a little bit of a gap, and then hopefully he can keep the VW behind him. If not, again, it'll be into fighting. So we're coming into the last stages of the race now. Quite a few people still owe a pit stop, still owe the hard compound tyre. The top 4 drivers have not taken the hard tyre yet, as have 6th, 7th and 8th, which is Abraham, Hargan, Beauvoir and Musin, who we're on board with now in the VW. So they're all going to come in for that hard compound tyre. Likely going to be the last couple of laps, or if not the last lap. And seeing how these cars handle their hard tyres, that'll also be a bit of a factor around here. Some cars handle other tyre compounds better than others, so it's far from over.
Certainly is. Into the left-hander we go then, onto the straight. This is where the slipstream comes into play once again. Beauvoir, of course, has got the advantage of the slipstream with Abraham Hargan just in front of him. 0.8 of a second it sits at, so it will be a little bit effective there for Beauvoir.
The fuel there, you can see 16 litres left in the tank there. I think that's accurate. If it is, it does mean there's going to be a bit of fuel going in that car, although I'm unsure if it is or not. Sometimes the dashing game can be a little bit cheeky, because apparently we're at a constant 110 degrees oil temp there, which is a little bit cooler than it would be in a race scenario. On board though still with the VW, and you can see Beauvoir getting on with it now, isn't he?
He is, yeah. Now he's got a bit of clear track in front of him, maybe a bit more confidence underneath him that he can just use the advance of the slipstream. And we know that Mazda isn't the quickest car in a straight line, let's be honest. So this is going to be a nice welcome result here for Baptiste Beauvoir. But of course, it's one thing getting close to one another. It's another thing getting past. Let's see what he's going to be able to do, though. He's going to have to try and set it up through these final series of corners. The crucial thing is you need to be close coming onto the banking, onto that final corner. And that's not as easy as it sounds.
Tell you what, I've never seen a Mazda with hieroglyphics on before. That's a new one for me. A very creative livery from Melvin there. I wonder if he has some sort of Egyptian roots or something. I'll have to ask him one day. But he's probably not thinking about that right now, because he's got Baptiste Beauvoir behind him, and he's coming down the straight right now. He's going to have the draft, pulls out to the inside. I'll take that. Cheers, mate. Up to 6th place he goes. But now, again, can he pull away from the Mazda? He's been doing very well to sort of leapfrog these guys, very slowly making his way up the grid. Reminds me of one of the old Gran Turismo 5 challenges, where you had to take a stock car and slowly... No, actually, no, it was a GT4 challenge with the Renault Aventime, and you had to slipstream down the straight.
Oh, I remember that. God, those were the days, weren't they?
So he's sort of doing that, but in this. There you go.
Yeah, except it's not an Aventime, it's a Mercedes GT3 car.
I would love to see a GT3 Aventime.
That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Oh, cars you'd love to see. Put them in the comments below, will you? So Beauvoir now into 6th position. This man here, though, Valerio Gallo, we've hardly mentioned him over the last few laps. He's pulled out a 2.3 second advantage to Nicolas Romero. Then lap 25 out of 30, he is on. Of course, they all owe the hard compound of tyre, at least in the top 4. Everybody running very similar strategies to one another. But Gallo able to pull out that advantage. And just looking calm and comfortable once again from Valerio Gallo. Just a lovely bit of driving, and once he's out in front, once he's got no pressure from behind, he's just calm, he's smooth like butter, consistent, and well, we love to see it.
Yeah, you love to see it, as they say, and he's happy with that. I mean, he's been on a roll it's just got better and better and better, hasn't he? Like
a fine wine.
Yeah, like a fine Italian wine, Mr. Valerio Gallo, and it's just been the first time we saw him. Midfield runner, nothing much to write home about. And since then, he's just been impressing us more and more and more. And the way things are going now, he's looking like he's going to take another win for Honda in the NSX. There's still a few laps left to go. He still has to pit in, but it's looking very good for the Italian.
So, people at home, for example, who may have just tuned in for the first time to the top 16 superstars, we saw Giorgio Mangano fighting at the front in the Nations Cup race. He's down in 9th position here in this Manufacturer Series race. Why is that?
EOP. The cars are different around here. This is one of the things. It's like Formula One's a great example where you don't necessarily see the best drivers in the best cars. It's just sort of who you sign with, really. And the same is true here. And when you're signing for your team at the start of a season, you have to make that choice. Where are these cars going to be strong? Am I going to be competitive? And on top of that, you have to think, am I going to be able to beat everybody else who takes part in this car? Are people from other regions going to take this car so we can qualify? There's a whole host of things to go for, but sometimes just national pride. Mangano goes for the the Italian Lamborghini. Although saying Lamborghini is Italian nowadays might be a little bit off. It's more German nowadays, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an Italian-German hybrid, isn't it?
Lamborghini R8.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we met some of the team at Lamborghini in Monaco last year. They were very Italian.
Oh, they were so Italian that There's the Italian coming out, a bit of a drift there in the mid-engine Lamborghini Huracan, and when those things get loose,
yeah, there's no saving them, or there is, but
unless
it's
you're Giorgio.
it makes your bottom go like a rabbit's nose.
Yeah, you hold on to the seat and not with your belts. But Mangano managed to keep the place, but that has put him a bit further back now to Buller. Again, first time out for Buller. Top 10 result will be very respectable if he can pull that off.
Not bad at all. Good to see the Audi actually inside the top 10 as well. We know that, for example, Martin Grady, he's been struggling with that car all year, and it's not the quickest car in Group 3 trim either, but still a top 10 result will be a very welcome result then for him. Of course, it is a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car, unlike a lot of other cars up and down the field. Unlike this one though. In front of him, Giorgio Mangano into the first corner, late on the brakes, very close indeed between them. I love the sense of speed that this bumper cam gives. It gives you a real idea of just how harsh that banking is as well.
Yeah, it's great to see it from this point of view, and you can see how closely the drivers the race of each other. You know, there's often very little room for error and for mistakes, and when you're driving like that and there is a little bit of a miscommunication maybe in braking, then the mistakes come faster than you'd like to think. Mangano in front there, getting a good look at the back of that Williams Esports Lamborghini Huracan. Great to see Williams represented very well here. A great result for them in the last race, 1 and 2. Not quite as good this time around, but Gallo of course still leading the way. But they're having to defend from Velasco now. The Ferrari has recovered after a penalty earlier on. So we're coming on now. This is lap 28. We're coming on. Moisov comes on for the hard compound tyre a lap early. That could be a good call. It could be a bad call, depending on how those mediums are feeling for Gallo and Romero.
So let's see what happens. Here comes Velasco versus Buller. Then here's Moisov out of the pit lane. Where's he going to emerge? It's going to be a bit of closing speed there for these guys coming down to the first corner. He's in 8th position. He's got a bit of time in hand as well to the likes of Mangano, Buller and Velasco, who are squabbling for 9th position. Of course, though, Moisov is on the harder compound of tyre, the slower compound of tyre here as well. And these drivers behind have all made their final stops. They're running to the end of this race on the medium tyre. They'll be past their best, but they'll still be, I reckon, that little bit faster than Moisov until he can get some heat into those tyres at a bare minimum. So let's see whether Moisov is going to come under threat in the last couple of laps or so.
He should be okay. He should be okay, I think, at this point. We'll see again. Like that Aston's pretty quick in a straight line, so it should be okay. And Mangano's having to defend as well. So front of the field coming in. Valerio Gallo into the pits. Romero into the pits. Gallo with 7 litres left in the tank. That is enough for 1 lap. He will not be taking any fuel, nor will the VW of Romero. Malky into final behind. Now, where is Naldi? And where is Moisov? For Romero out of the pit lane, 2nd place, there's Gallo, and here comes Naldi there in 3rd place. Got the closing speed on Romero, very close, and he's on the different compound tyre, the medium, so he might have a chance here to nab 2nd place. A fantastic debut here for Naldi, a 3rd place podium at the least at this point. Might be able to pick up 1 more place if he is opportunistic and can get close enough.
So it's all to play for then here for these drivers. Let's see what is going to happen. Can Naldi do anything on the final lap here? Only a few more corners left to go. He's on the medium tyre. Romero, of course, is on the hard tyre, and the Volkswagen driver, well, the saving grace will be the straight line speed. So if Naldi's not able to launch anything into the next couple of corners, I wonder if Romero will just be a little bit safe there, even with the slipstream that Naldi will have coming through into that final corner. We go now. It needs to be a stonker of an exit through this left-hander here for Naldi if he's going to be able to do anything, and I wonder if it might be a day late and $1 short there for him, but no question over this man here. Valerio Gallo once again drives to perfection and drives to the line to take the win in the Manufacturers Series race in the top 16 superstars. Romero comes home in 2nd by the skin of his teeth, ahead of Naldi, who gets a podium in his first ever top 16 superstars event, ahead of Breyer in 4th. Moisov holds on to 5th position ahead of Mangano. Velasco, Buller inside the top 10 ahead of Malky and Beauvoir, who just scraped into 10th position at the end of that race ahead of Abraham Hargan. But what a race once again. 2 races in the Nations Cup and the Manufacturers Series, and 2 Italians on the top step of the podium.
Amazing effort by Gallo. What more can you say? He's just been wowing people right now, really separating himself from the rest of the pack, metaphorically and figuratively as well. And we should say also a massive round of applause for our rookies, Naldi and Buller. I say rookies, of course, in the sense it's their first race in this series, but of course very mature drives from the both of them, and a podium for Naldi first time out. He'll be very happy at that.
Well, that bodes well for the future, isn't it? We were chatting on before saying we'd love to see some new talent coming in through the field. There you go.
There it is, yeah. Awesome.
Final results you can see on your screen at the moment. Valerio Gallo takes the checkered flag ahead of Nicolas Romero. Naudi makes it 3 different manufacturers and 3 different nationalities on the podium there as well, ahead of Jose Brea and Nikita Moisov. What a brilliantly exciting race. Huge congratulations to all of our drivers. Great job, as Jimmy said, from our rookies there as well. A brilliant job from all of our drivers then. What a race in the Manufacturers Series. What an amazing race in the Manufacturers Series. Jimmy, I'm going to put you on the spot because I know you love it. Driver of the day in that one.
Driver of the day. I'm going to give it to both of our newcomers, but specifically Naudi. I mean, like, for a podium, first time out, awesome result. First race I did, I crashed. I remember it very, very vividly. Not his first race, of course, but first race on Superstar, all that added pressure. Great effort.
I have to say, in particular as well, I don't think anything can be taken away from Valerio Gallo. And that incredible performance, really. You know, he was fighting with Nicolas Romero at the start of that race, and I was kind of there convinced it was going to be the same story right to the checkered flag. But as soon as he was able to get some clear air, just pull out enough of an advantage to break that toe, and he was nowhere to be seen, despite the straight line advantage quite clearly of that VW.
What do you do when you win a race? Well, maybe we should ask him.
Valerio, mate, awesome job in that Honda. Didn't look like you had the straight line speed, but you took the win anyway. How was it?
It was amazing because for a moment I thought in this race I was the favorite. But as a surprise, there was Nico going very fast with the Volkswagen BGT. So I had to remap the strategy, and yeah, I tried to do a mega undercut. I went to the pits 2 laps earlier. So yeah, it paid off because also I found some traffic, but in the end I was able to escape from Nico after his pit.
VTEC working pretty well, I think, in the NSX, mate. It was doing pretty good, wasn't it?
Yeah, the VTEC just kicking in, yo.
Absolutely mad. It was awesome. I love watching it out there. Is it weird looking in your mirror and seeing a guy with a convertible behind you? Like, is that normal? You're like, oh, what's he doing back there?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, because he had a topless car, so it was pretty visible.
We've seen 2 Italians now on the top step of the podium. We saw, of course, Mangano doing an awesome job in the Nations Cup, a brilliant job in the Manufacturer Series. I mean, what are your celebrations going to be after this one? Now that you guys can go and celebrate, is it down the pub for a couple of lemonades after that one?
As a tradition, as an Italian tradition, let's say. We should celebrate with spaghetti, obviously. And yeah, I mean, me and Giorgio, and we tried a lot to make the scores. And I'm so happy that we made also, let's say, very, very good results in the Nations Cup. And let's say it was a pretty good night, and I'm very happy.
Are you tired after that? I don't know about you, but like after a win, I'm buzzing. I'm off the walls. I'm jumping around.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. I'm so sweaty. So
it's going straight to bed. Straight to sleep.
Goodness me, Valerio, mate, congratulations on that brilliant result, and great to see you doing so well. And party hard, and we'll see you, I'm sure, in a couple of weeks' time, mate.
Thank you, guys.
Well, great to hear from all of our drivers here. What an amazing series of races we've had in the Nations Cup and Manufacturers Series. It's not any mistake at all that we keep talking to the likes of Beauvoir, Gallo, Mangano, etc., is it?
No, this is the new guard. These are the new guys who are sort of taken over from Mick and from others who, of course, have kind of come before them. And it's great to see him have this opportunity, especially Gallo. You know, as you say, there's a reason why we're talking about him week in, week out. It's because he's in the right place week in, week out. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens when we hopefully return to the big events.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I'm intrigued to see what that is going to mean for these World Tour events as well, because it's great being fast on the top 16 Superstars platforms, but we've always seen that a World Tour event, it doesn't necessarily translate to that. But I've got a good feeling about this, and I think we could be in for some of our best racing when indeed that does return in the future.
Definitely. I think this has been a chance for these drivers to mature, to find out what works and what doesn't for them. And when the events do return, as we hope they will, of course, they'll be prime and ready.
Yeah, absolutely right. And speaking of returning, we will be returning once again for the top 16 Superstars, the next round of the online season, coming your way on the first weekend of August. We look forward to your company then. In the meantime, though, from Jimmy Broadbent and from myself, Tom Brooks, thank you very much indeed for joining us. See you next time.